All right, mic check. Excellent, fantastic. Didn't get enough time to make tea. Shame on me. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Black Brown Broadcast. Where is that PDF? It should be here. There it is. Welcome to the 142nd show. That's 142 times we are making an attempt at uniting Black people to form solutions. Excellent. This is Black Brown Broadcast. I am your host for today, Rap Raven. Let's go through the traditional start as we normally do. That is, when it comes to working as a collective with only Black people on matters that benefit Black issues, Black progression, and Black ownership, Black people are collectively inadequate. We want to fix that. Individually, you might find a non-Black person who shows some kind of corollary towards Black people. However, collectively, Black people have no friends. Please don't forget that. But more important than all of those, very important, that is, constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. Oh, yeah. There you go. Fantastic. Please forgive me, I have a cough. But we're going to send out the link today as we always do every week because this is a community show. It's a team-based effort. And when we do, don't forget about the 4 Ds, which is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Please don't forget that. It's very important. All right. So, also, if we can try not to use any derogatory language, more descriptive language if possible, that would be very, very, very handy. So what is Black Betterment for those who are new? Black Betterment is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. Ta-da! All right, fantastic. So we are promoting the lifestyle of Black Betterment. That's what we do on this show. So that's what we're promoting. All right. So yeah, we're going to show 2 videos. It is an ours. It's copyright. So it's case study purposes. So please don't flag the page. Blah blah blah. And don't forget to visit the Black Betterment Building Instagram page. Very important as it goes, because on this show, especially this week and the weeks to come, we are using the community to define campaigns on a digital level. So basically, we give ideas, the community jumps on, they use the text and the audio to give their ideas. We turn these ideas into digital campaigns. Then we post them on the Black Betterment Building Instagram page. So, and this week is technically the second week, but hopefully it'll be the week where we actually get something done, but we're back and forth in it. We're using the Black Betterment Broadcast as a creative agency to do digital ads and campaigns for the Black community. So yeah, and you can be a part of it. There you go. Just have to turn up and give your opinion and back and forth. There you go. So this week we shall be doing that. So let us go through our fantastic topics today. All right. So as I just said, we invite the community to collaborate with ideas to promote Black ownership, economics, and love. We started last week, and we'll go through that straight away. Well, we'll go through the second one, I guess. And the second topic is, what can the Black community learn from studying Tina Turner's inheritance distribution? As you know, Tina Turner, a fantastic singer. We must cover her and a lot of the other brown sisters who passed away this year. We've got to do some kind of remembrance show. But the sister passed away, unfortunately. And it's been circulating that obviously she was married and the lucky husband is going to inherit most of her wealth or half of wealth, as they should. I wasn't too sure because I wasn't too sure about her actual children's set, because unfortunately I also found out that 2 of her biological children actually passed away. Well, one passed away unfortunately because cancer. I think one was going through some kind of stressful time and might have committed suicide, which is never good to know. But I've got some stuff there. So let's just look. Which one should I click on? Is it this one? Let's go get some TY clicker buttons. Give me 5 seconds. Over.
Was the queen of
rewind.
You probably know that Tina Turner was the queen.
This is one about her children, because I didn't really know who inherits most of her stuff, but I know her husband gets half. But I read somewhere that maybe some other children, but I think there's some miscommunication about that. But we're just interested to know, so have a listen.
Rock and roll, but how much do you know about her 4 sons? Her eldest son was born when she was 18 years old, fathered by musician Raymond Hill. After Tina and Hill split, she began what's perhaps her most famous relationship with Ike Turner, band leader with the Kings of Rhythm, whom she later married. Before their contentious split in 1978, the pair had their only child. She also adopted 2 of Ike's children from an earlier relationship. In 2018, Tina Turner's eldest son, Craig Raymond Turner, died by suicide at his home in California. He was just 59 years old. Sadly, Craig Turner was old enough to remember the domestic violence rife in his mother's relationship with Ike. When Craig was a child, Tina had even attempted suicide herself. She later described her eldest son as emotional and prone to sadness. Before his death, Craig worked in real estate in Beverly Hills and lived in an apartment his mother had bought for him. After Craig's death, Tina scattered his ashes off the Californian coast. She later posted on Twitter, "My saddest moment as a mother. He will always be my baby." That same year, Tina told BBC News that before he died, Craig had revealed that he had entered into a romantic relationship. He had planned to introduce his new partner to his mother on his birthday. Tina Turner's youngest biological son, Ronnie Turner, passed away in December 2022. It was later determined that he had died from complications from colon cancer. Ronnie experienced addiction and legal issues as a young adult, but ultimately followed his mother's and father's footsteps in the show business. At the time of his death, he was married to Afida Turner. After his death, Afida called her husband a terrific musician and an amazing soul. They had no children. Of all of Tina Turner's children, her eldest adopted son, Ike Turner Jr., is most closely linked to the music industry. Born in 1950.
So this was her first son that she adopted. I think she was with a band member and they had a kid, and then this was the first, but this was before she met Ike.
To Ike Turner Sr. and Lorraine Taylor. Ike Jr. has a 2006 Grammy Award to his credit as the producer of his father's album.
Oh, no, so this one actually is Ike's son. Forgive me, that was wrong.
Rising with the Blues. Having played music from the age of 13, Ike Jr. teamed up with the former Ike Turner Revue backup singer Randy Love in 2017. In 2018, Ike Jr. released a single, Freaky, performing with Sweet Randy Love and Love Thing Band. The same year, he revealed to the Daily Mail that his adopted mother estranged herself from the two children she adopted while married to Ike Sr. In that same interview, Ike Jr. said, "Tina raised me from the age of 2. She's the only mother I've ever known, but I haven't talked to my mother since God knows when, probably around 2000. I don't think any of my brothers have talked to her in a long time either." In 2018, Ike Jr. gave an update on Michael Turner to the Daily Mail. He said, "Michael is in a convalescent home in Southern California and needs medical support. I've been to see him quite a few times. He's doing great." At that time, Ike Jr. added that the only contact Tina had with her adopted son Michael was through financial support. Previously, while speaking to Sunday Mercury, Michael had revealed that he experienced addiction issues as an adult. He said, "I know in my heart if I called Tina or my father, Ike, right now, they would come and help me, but I just can't do that. Tina was really good to me and I love her, but I can't live with anybody.
Okay.
I gotta be free to do what I want to do."
Right.
According to Fox News, Michael, Ronnie, and Ike Jr. were devastated to be mostly left out of their mother's HBO Max documentary, Tina.
Cool. Let's go quickly look at just one thing about the husband. This one little thing.
Her superstar has died at the age of 83. The devastating loss of the beloved superstar prompted countless messages of condolences and mourning on social media, as celebrities shared how much Turner had inspired them and influenced them. She earned millions of parts in her career and also made huge amount of fortune. But now that she has passed away, the question on everyone's mind is, who will inherit her massive fortune and his beloved property? For those who don't know, Tina Turner, originally known as Anna Mae Bullock, was born on November 26, 1939, in Brownsville, Tennessee.
Big up Kushti, big up True Angel 92, big up Manchester, big up Lady Divine, big up everyone in the house.
She was the youngest daughter of Floyd Richard Bullock and Zelma Priscilla Curry. Tina's family lived in the rural community of Nutbush, Tennessee, where her father worked as an overseer.
We'll skip this. We'll go to the boy here. Where are we? Let's go. Very long career. She dominated from like what 50s to the 80s or 90s. So very long. But there we go. Let's go back right about here.
What it was like not to have a black eye. After leaving Ike, Tina found love and happiness with former music executive Irwin Back. They were together for 27 years before getting married, and their marriage lasted until Tina's death. In 2016, Irwin donated a kidney to Tina when hers began to fail, demonstrating his love and commitment to her. Tina had 4 sons, Craig, Ike Jr., Michael, and Ronnie. Craig was her first child, born in August 1958 to Tina and Kings of Rhythm saxophonist Raymond Hill. He was later adopted by Ike Turner and changed his name to Craig Raymond Turner. Tina adopted Ike's 2 sons, Ike Jr. and Michael, from his previous relationship with Lorraine Taylor. Additionally, Tina and Ike had 1 biological child together, Ronnie Turner, born in October 1960. Ike Jr., now a Grammy-winning musician, considers Tina as his only mother and was adopted by her at the age of 2. He currently performs with a tribute band called The Love Thing. Tragically, Tina experienced the loss of her son Craig, who died by suicide in 2018 at the age of 59. Tina expressed her grief and love for Craig on Twitter, sharing a farewell message and scattering his ashes off the coast of California. She wrote, On Thursday, July 19, 2018, I said my final goodbye to my son, Craig Raymond Turner, when I gathered with family and friends to scatter his ashes off the coast of California. He was 59 when he died so tragically, but he will always be my baby. Furthermore, Tina's fourth child, Ronnie, passed away last year from complications related to colon cancer. Tina expressed her sorrow and love for Ronnie in an Instagram post, emphasizing that he
So that means two of the children that she birthed passed away.
left the world too soon. Throughout her life, Tina Turner faced immense challenges and personal tragedies, but she maintained a deep love for her children and found happiness with Erwin Back. Tina Turner died at a home that had long been a refuge for the legendary singer. The Queen of Rock had left behind the spotlight and the United States for a life at her quiet estate in the town of Küsnacht, Switzerland, on the shore of Lake.
She moved to Switzerland, by the way.
Turner moved into the home, known as Villa Algonquin, in 1998 with her partner, German actor and music producer Erwin Back. She rented the estate for many years due to Swiss restrictions on foreigners buying property in the country. After Turner became a Swiss citizen in 2013, she bought an approximately 24,154.7 square meter property in the village of Staffa on Lake Zurich. She purchased it for a reported $76 million.
A lot of money. So here's her net worth.
Turner sold more than 150 million albums worldwide.
A lot of music.
BBC reported in 2021 that she sold her entire music catalog to music publishing company BMG for
I don't know if that's a good thing. I think a lot of people seem to be selling their catalogs. Need to review that process.
USD 50 million. Tina Turner's yearly salary was estimated to be around $1.5 million. Her financial success was a testament to her immense talent, hard work, and enduring popularity among fans worldwide. Tina Turner had an estimated net worth of $250 million at the time of her death. It should be remembered that her two sons died. One of them in 2018, Craig Raymond, who committed suicide at the age of 59. The other in 2022, Ronnie Ronell Turner, died of cancer. Tina has therefore chosen to leave her wealth to her two other adopted children and her widower, Batch.
So there was things circulating that it will go to adopted children, but some people like speculate it might have been his children. Not too sure if that was the case. So if anyone knows, please let us know. But yeah, just Google here. You have two. It says here 225 million, and obviously half of that goes to the husband. So yeah, we're, of course, as from a Black Bear broadcast, it's always sad to see people pass. But one of the things we always do is we try to just let Black people know about economics, and obviously whoever you marry will inherit your wealth, and if you have children, they also get it. And obviously, we see patterns between many Black rich people marrying non-Black people. So just a nod to just remember that that is the process, and we've had shows about that. And obviously, Tina Turner, amazing sister who will be lost, as another sister who did actually marry out. And her husband, although a good husband, no doubt, they were saying he did some nice things, will inherit half their wealth. So there, that's something that we're going to start. We can talk about that throughout the day, and also can connect to other musicians who do similar things. But now we're going to move on to the other exercise. So let me go back to the actual ding. Here we go. So for those who don't know, welcome all. Now, you want to get the finger caps on, tell your friend we're live. This is now the part of the show where we're going to do the campaigning. Last week, I did 2 templates of like, here's an idea for Black Love. And we said, picture of a Black people or Black family, whatever it is, hashtag Black Love, and then write a constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. I put it up there as a test. Everyone says, it's not too bad, but I think we can do a bit better. I said, well, how do you mean? And the family said, why don't we strip away all the text? Don't need that. Let's just keep it as a very simple thing, maybe Black Love. I think it was Sister Kushti who jumped in and said, how about we do a Black Love Is campaign? She said, I said, what is that? Okay, she said, Black Love Is, and then show a Black man, Black woman doing things, and, let the picture tell the story, and just have the stuff there. So I went away, I said, let's see if we, yes, right, rest in power, Queen Tina, is very true. And we shall cover more Tina Turner afterwards. But yeah, so I said, okay, let me take these ideas about the Black Love campaign and let me mock up something. So what I have now, just for everyone to see, this is another template taken from the discussion we had last week. So what we do is we show ideas, we come as a community, and we push them down. So I think they said, how about having a Black Love Is campaign? So this is the next one I've mocked up. Let me know if you think, because remember, whatever we do, if the template is right and we're good with it, I'm gonna make a whole load of them. Here's another page. Oh, it's not working. There's another page of it, some other stuff. Right? So if this idea works, then we can mock it up, make 110 or maybe 10 or 20 or something, and then we can post. Because at the moment, our Instagram feed hasn't posted anything. It's usually used just to promote stories, to promote we're live. So naturally, you want to start promoting some kind of campaign. And what I would need is, if we agree to this idea, if this works, I'll go out, get out a couple of images, and mass produce the idea, whatever it might be, and then we can push that out there. Also, one other thing, if we are happy with this way, we will need a couple of hashtags to actually put. Mic check, yeah, to actually put in there. So Black Love is obviously one of the hashtag. Oh, wait, hold on, is there a link? You're right. Sadly, I did not push the link in. Shame on me twice. Copy, and everyone. Yeah, I should throw the link. Silly me. So guys, I'll throw the link out. Let me go back to the images. Sorry, let me go back. So yeah, if you want to contribute towards the campaign, you cannot. You don't have. Some people don't enjoy talking on audio. We understand that. So feel free to talk in the actual text. But if you don't mind talking, jump on the link. I think I put it in there. Let me actually stick it at the top thing as well. Give me 17 seconds to do that. Where is it? Click on that. Go to that. I'm just gonna, because some people say they need to see at the top at times. It takes so long for this to load. You must 1,000 forgivenesses for the speed. But feel free if you want to jump in at the moment. We're talking about the campaigns. Ultimately, there's 3 campaigns we want to push. We want to push one campaign for Black Love, one campaign for Black ownership, and one campaign for Black economics. And right now we welcome everyone. Welcome Empress Kush. Welcome. A Black Betterment to you.
Black Betterment family. Black Betterment to the family in the chat.
Excellent. I'm just gonna see if I can find this so I can pin it so others can get the Black Betterment. The way I have this stuff set up is mad. This doesn't. Oh, here we
go. Okay, while you're looking for that, I just want to say that the pictures look lovely. Are these good. Or have we got any more?
Oh, so basically, what it is I've found certain sites where I can download, but these are actually just templates to see of a style. So the idea, if the style works, we mass produce hundreds of them. If that makes sense. So this is how we do in campaigning, in marketing. Sorry, we get an idea. I think they call it. I forgot what it's called. It's templates, right? I guess. And then what if we're happy with the style, meaning we've got the logo, we've got the arrangement, we've got the concept of Black people doing Black people stuff, loving each other and that good stuff. Then let me just quickly put this at the top. Pin to message. There we go. Done. Can get rid of that now. Excellent. Where was I? Yeah. So, and this is I've done 4 mock-ups, right? But if the idea works, then we just get a whole lot of other Black pictures of Black men and women doing stuff, good stuff, whatever, and then we just plaster it. So every couple of days we post 4 2 or whatever. I help people to push it forward. So yeah, this is the idea. So feel free to jump in. Is there anyone else? Yeah, feel free to jump in. But so what we're doing, this ain't done before. This is a community kind of building idea where we're going to come together, push ideas here, and then we're going to mock up these ideas. Last week we started with a rough idea of Black Love campaign, and it said too much writing. Can we actually strip it down and just have more of a Black, maybe just one kind of word? And then Sister Cushy said, why don't we have Black Love Is? Let's show imagery. So this is the follow-up week here. And also this week, hopefully we can also work out how to potentially do Black ownership, maybe if we get time. I know Brother Kel had some ideas that you might want to go over. But yeah, so does that make sense, Empress Kush?
Yes, bro, definitely. I think while the family types in their 2 cents, I'll do mine after you told me that you just want feedback. So sorry, my feedback. Sorry, my words escaped me there. Obviously, I'm going to be biased because I came up with it, so I think it's brilliant.
Say no more. It's done. It's going through then. Say no.
It's all done. Tick. You're amazing.
Yeah, no more questions. We're good. To be,
I will say a little. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, I would say that because you did come up with the idea, I would say it definitely makes sense. And it's definitely kind of like short and sweet, which is usually good in a scrolling kind of capacity. You know, when people are like scroll up and down.
Definitely.
So I think, and then obviously now it does allow us to then get a lot of obviously black people. I thought it would be hard.
Black love is a good entry, right? Because if like you said, if I'm scrolling along and I'm constantly seeing, and I like the way you've subtly put in the branding, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm seeing it, I'm noticing in a pattern here, the bold letters, the bold black, the background logo, black picture. So if I'm constantly scrolling, I'll be like, well, as soon as I go into that page, I automatically know that this is going to be something positive of black because you've gone in with black love. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to mess about. You can't mess about and that's why whatever you put on screen as the couples is so fundamental. So like you said before, you've gone to other black love sites and then you've seen the interracial couple there. Right. So the first thing I would do is scroll through and make sure everything is actual black love. So all of that thing, which I know you're going to do anyways, needs to be on point, which it's going to be. So that's why I think that this is going to be a quick, like in marketing head sense, this is just a quick in, like you've said so much just by the way you've done it, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I'd say, yeah, but my only and well done for that, bro. But my only worry on that is your imagery. So you said that you found a site, which again, that just shows your greatness. Because I'm sure, by the way, like if people don't know, it's very difficult to get imagery of black people, yet alone black love.
Especially black people doing constructive things.
Exactly. That's what I say, especially black love. So I don't want to put brother's business out there. I've just seen this the first time, but I'll be surprised if it was free. So much respect for that, bro, because I know that's not going to be easy. And that's one of my points, is that when you need to do more imagery, are you going to have enough photographs to keep on the same thing? That's why I perhaps suggested like a cartoon kind of thing as well, just in case, you know.
No, I hear that. The thing is, not that I'll be using this. There's something coming in. The world, if the world doesn't know, I think everyone should know. It's AI.
Yes. Oh, see, bro, you're just ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I've got some packages that, because what it is, a lot of the companies, they're in the beta stage. So I use a lot of Adobe products, and Adobe are now competing with AI, and they want to kind of blow out all the competition. So they've just released a beta of some AI. So I'm going to test it out. I just see it ain't got any kinks or whatever it is, but that will be an option. But saying that, I have found out, because I've got a lot of stock imagery stuff from past work, I seem to have quite a lot of black love images. Like if I was to just, and this is just me doing one. Hold on. Where will I look? Black Betterment. What is it? Black Betterment. Photoshop, maybe. Oh, we go. Here we go. So already I've got Control A. Does that not tell me anything in there? I would say I've got maybe like 40 at the moment, to be honest, which is quite a lot. And that's just with like me looking for black love, as in black man, black woman doing activities, whatever. And also, one thing I'm going to do as well, maybe if it isn't too time consuming, is we can actually just throughout every week, part of the show could be me showing the images I've got, and then we just go, yeah, that's good, yeah, and then we just
100% utilize us. That we are that's definitely what you should do. It's definitely if this is for the community, it's good for you to get your opinions and suggestions from the community. It's only going to be more authentic because it's come from black people with good intentions. So I'm definitely down for that. But you know me, I love all of this stuff. So
good. Good, because one thing I'm trying to get, if possible, is I'm trying to make this show more community-led, in the sense of letting people know that their opinions matter. They can come on and contribute, and then teach behind the scenes, teach a lot of the brown sisters how certain campaigns work. You can see things being built in the proto sense and the beta sense, and then when it goes out to the world, And the idea is you're there, so you are part of that process, and hopefully that can be of some value to the community. Right now, we give thanks to Empress Kush who's come up with the Black Love Is campaign, and we're making that something. But there are two more campaigns we're looking to do, and that is the Black economics idea and the Black ownership. Funny enough, the like how what do you call it? Black Lives Matter kind of became a brand, right? Where they started changing to Black Wives Matter and Black Trains Matter, this kind of stuff, right? Well, that could maybe also work to an extent with this is idea where you could say Black economics is, and then there's a picture of some. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense, right? But that's just an idea to throw out there. That
exactly, the is campaign can be the campaign that crosses over because it all fundamentally comes under the one umbrella, and Black Betterment is an umbrella. So the more uniform it is the more easy it is to get people's head wrapped around it. You know what I mean? Because it's uniform. But I would say don't forget to put images in there that is culturally specific for us as well. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that Black couples, like, you know, like an Afro comb pick, you know, like the Black Power one, you know, the fist.
Yeah.
You know, like do stuff that's fundamentally only, and like a man and woman with an fro looking at each other, and, you know, like lovingly holding the fist throw in the middle. Don't forget the one where the man is sitting in between the lady's legs braiding his hair, you know, like stuff that you cannot in no way miss the point that this is solely Black love. So I love the way that I think it'd be beautiful to mix the culture of the contemporary and like the images that you're doing here, where we need to see more images of Black love just being, you know, just holding each other, just being as well, like it is normal. So it'd be nice to get that kind of mix in there, especially to attract the kind of people that we want to attract. So yeah, I love it. And I do think basically you can carry on the is as well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we'll mock everything up and then we'll see how it looks, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in regards to this, one idea as well is if like we once we have enough, like not enough, but enough to like post 5 a day, 3 a day, blah blah blah, whatever it is, then it'll become like a mass work, and it'll paint a bigger picture. So there'll be a diverseness of Black love is, which is very important. One other thing that's very important, and the family, that now it's the family's time to jump on board. Normally, when you post things, you will do a hashtag. So I don't know how many hashtags is normal. Maybe it might be 3 or 4. Not too sure. Can't remember. But right now, obviously, Black love is one. I know Black love exists was used on some other kind of thing. So I just write down there because I noticed it. But if you guys at home have any ideas of what we should, because ultimately there's 2 ways to think about it. There's a hashtag that you latch onto, that when people click onto this comes up, but then there's also a hashtag that you want to create. So I assume Black Love Is will be a hashtag that if anyone clicks on that, for the most part, all people are ever going to see is every single thing we post, because I suspect no one else will be using that hashtag. I could be wrong, but I suspect, right? If they click on Black Love Exists, which is used by other campaigns, then this stuff we do will also be seen with it. So we have one that should be exclusive, but one that's somewhat popular. So think of so that would be the strategy, I would say. Think of unique hashtags that only will exist for this, as well as ones that might be able to trigger into other people's campaigns. So when people want to see whatever you're going to say, they see our stuff as well. So that's just something to think about. Homework, throw the hashtag in now. Big up Brother Kel, who's here. I would say big up Brother Stanley. Hope everything's okay. I was just talking about Stanley. Okay, there you go. Big up Stanley as well. Welcome back. Big up She Reigns. Big up Fee. Big up all everyone in so for those who are joining now, what we're doing is every week now we're gonna come up with campaigns. And last week, Empress Kushti came up with an idea about a Black Love Is campaign. So we got some images of what we potentially could look like, and then we're now thinking of the hashtag that goes with it. But also we're thinking about how we could do Black economics and Black ownership. Feel free to give any info at the side, or why not click on the link that's made for you and jump in. We're trying to make it as appealing as possible. Every idea, you cannot be wrong. You cannot be wrong. All ideas are worth something, and hopefully we can use it in some format. But yeah, feel free to jump in. But also, if we go back to the beginning, This show is split into two topics. Obviously, one is the community campaigning of We Come Together team, but also we're talking about our sister. Unfortunately, sister Tina Turner passed away, and unfortunately, her children, two of her children, passed away as well before she passed. We're just saying how inheritance works for Black community to let you know that obviously when you die, if you're rich and wealthy, your partner gets half, if not everything. And we just highlight that this is one reason why you pick your partner really well. And from a Black Betterment standpoint, you pick a constructive Black man or a constructive Black woman because they're going to inherit you well. So that's a little reminder there.
Big up Sister Fee and Shireen Stanley. Bless up, bro, Cal.
There you go.
I think are you still on the Tina one? Because I know a lot of people are talking about the Tina.
We can jump on the Tina one now, yeah. So now that people are here, we can obviously. Tina Turner is a legend, and we everything is always respectful towards Tina, and we're going to keep it that way. But we are using Tina as a case study. We're aware that unfortunately in her early years, she was in an abusive relationship with Ike Turner. So what was reported, and this obviously is never good. And some people say that this kind of experience might have like dampened her longingness to be with another Black man. Don't know if it's true or not. This is what a lot of people are saying on the interweb. But yeah, I mean, you should never harm a woman. You should never harm anyone really, but definitely should not be harming women and kids. Pardon me, got a cold. But yeah, now it's time to speak. So anything, if you want to jump and have a conversation about Sister Tina, it could be just talking about a great past, or it could be a inheritance, it could be anything, or even some of the tragedies that she's gone through. But feel free now to start this conversation.
Mm-hmm. I see Fee said Tina tried Black Love, but we all saw what happened with that. And I think that's kind of probably the sentiments you've probably seen online with her. I've not really watched too much things with Tina, to be honest, with the family, because Tina was definitely Queen Tina Turner was definitely loved in my household. I carry a lot of respect for her, and I didn't like the way the media was just leading with her abuse. I mean, she out of anyone has done a lot more. I mean, her abuse. It's actually amazing how the amount of abuse that she had, and for so long she's had it. In the chapters of Tina Turner, that'd probably be a paragraph or a page for all the stuff she did while she was with him, before she was with him, and what she did after. So I just think it's really disrespectful how the mainstream media has just led us with the battered woman, like it's Tina Turner. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anything, she survived that, but we can talk about that. It needs to be highlighted, but we need to put some more respect on her. Well, the media needs to put a bit more respect on her name. So I kind of cut off from many ins and outs, basically, in regards to Tina. And then she says, how much should Black women put up with for Black love? And should Tina Turner get a pass under the circumstances?
Well, good question. I think no woman should endure any kind of physical abuse at all. It's just, and I think that should be a standard in the community. And we should have scenarios where if someone is going through that, we protect them. It could be philosophies where you introduce them to your brothers and cousins, and if you ever get abused, they can always ring them to come and sort it out or sort him out or whatever it might be. I think that's one thing, that no woman should take any physical abuse from anyone, especially any man, right? But then the one thing we do want to say is, I know it sounds cliche, whatever, but we definitely don't want to then brush the behavioral patterns of an unsynchronized Black man on every single Black man. Funny enough, the majority of men don't actually attack women, so but there is enough.
No, but bro, like, do you know what I mean? You've got to be careful with things like that, because like in America, aren't the Black women they've got a whole word, femicide, currently now.
Well, that's something as a
Black
community
women are dying at an alarming rate from Black men. I mean, they're putting on social media and things like that.
No,
But
I
I don't
mean,
even think that this is a thing that like just acknowledging. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to say that there because
that is something that we are going to cover in
yeah,
future times about that. And once again, we start the show by saying that black people are collectively inadequate, and so that means in all areas of tragedy, you might see a heightened ratio in the black community in everything, which is always most unfortunate. However, as a template, um, I'm always going to promote that black love, right? It's just it's just a default. Um, by the same token, there is no judgment for a person who goes through stuff and then decides something else. But I would say that as a community, we do want to fix any kind of heightened ratio of negativity going on. But at the same token, um, in the community is the salvation, but in the community is also the opposite. So even though you'll have a heightened number of tragic events, tragic people, there is actually goodness in the community. And the trick is, how do we give men and women the tools to find that? How do we give our family and friends the tools to be able to find constructive people? And here's the thing. This is going to be quite controversial. Sometimes when people are in a certain situation, they might not know good from bad. And what I mean by that is, even on this show, some people get offended when we say, like, well, on this particular show, if we could maybe not use profanity when we're trying to find solutions. And this in itself causes hullabaloo. It's like, what are you talking about? I use profanity everywhere I go. I use profanity to my children. I use profanity to my grandma. I use profanity in the schools I go. We use profanity everywhere. It's normal. What I'm saying is, there would have been a time where that wouldn't have been normal. But because certain people accept certain kind of realities and then they accept new realities, before you know it, what was once seen as quite shocking is now normalized. And this could also go in the same direction of abuse or shouting at each other or hitting each other, where it's just seen as normal. So one of the things we try to do is let's try to get like a high principled base, a high principled standard benchmark, and we're lingering around that. So this is one thing we try to push for. I know it's challenging. Many different people come from different backgrounds, but this is one thing of what we are pushing forward to maybe highlight when problematic behaviors are around.
Mm. So the answer to Fiona's question is it a yes or a no? Does she get a pass?
Well, Tina Turner has been through so much abuse and she's done so much. She's hit that Michael Jackson stage and Prince stage, doesn't she? Right?
Yeah.
And with Michael Jackson and Prince, unfortunately, they could do no wrong in every choice they've made because of how much they've done. However, even though they themselves, no one's going to really, chase them and say, you're this, you're that, you did this. There is a template that the community can't change.
Yeah, they definitely have a template, of course. Like, yeah. That's what I mean. There's a. This is why this is an individual. Like you said, you're not going to get. I mean, in my personal opinion, is these people like the last few people that you mentioned there. You're only going to get them type of people once in a lifetime anyway. So,
right.
It's definitely a rarity. No one's saying that you're changing your whole philosophy.
No, but let me say
one case, and I think if you don't approach things, you need to have a universal point and way about doing things. Absolutely. But we're also individual cases, right? So yeah, so you have to look at it. I mean, I think all of us who are talking about it in the chats and us on stage have all seen the movie, know her life. So yeah, it's
well, let's say this. Let's say this. And this is very important. And this is where the Black Betterment tries to go beyond the average looking and the wonders of the one person, right? It comes down to this. All these amazing artists and musicians and this kind of stuff, they need to be praised for their good work. They need to recognize when they've been through pain. Michael Jackson was bullied and he went through very rare illnesses. Prince lost a lot of his children, this kind of stuff. So they've all been through very hard times, and this cannot be taken away from them. But what we have to do as a community is look at the patterns of the highest selling black musicians from a period where music sold the most. So we could say 80s, right? So we can look at Lionel Richie, we can look at Michael Jackson, we can look at Prince, we can look at Michael Jackson's sister Janet Jackson, we can look at Tina Turner, of course. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I think these guys, and then obviously there's Whitney Houston, right? Now, of all these guys, it's only Whitney Houston who's actually was married, and the irony is such a bad example because her and her husband were such in a bad state.
Exactly. But
Very
this
bad.
is what I mean. That is the reality of it. And
Well,
the reality of it is that Tina was married with a black man, 19 years. He nearly
yeah,
killed her.
yeah,
So if that's what I'm saying about, if you just do it's not about idolizing one person. It's if you brush it, you don't have, there's no real honesty to the top, to the point that we're talking about. Because if like Tina was married to a man 19 years, and we all remember the part when she's literally there laying down strapped up and the man's whispering in her ear, you better not die, because if you die I'll kill you. So I mean, this is what I'm saying, bro.
no, I listen.
Wow.
I can't. But what I'm saying, the interesting thing about this is, when it comes to black men, I personally know 10 black men who would, could, should never do that, right? And if I know 10, maybe you know 10,
Yeah, but
and
that's what
maybe
I said before, bro. But I get, all right, I get it.
no,
Yeah, I
no,
hear
no,
you. But that's what I'm saying. I've said it
I'm
like to
I'm talking about
accent. Like,
template. So
this
remember
ain't
what
like
we're saying. Hold
this
on,
ain't
what we're
saying that
saying.
every man is like Ike Turner. It's just saying we're talking
We
about
won't
Tina
we
Turner now. So
yeah. So
I'm not
we always say
basing Ike on
Michael
every man.
Jackson, Prince, Tina Turner are legends, and no one can judge. And they've hit echelon where their choice is their choice. However, even though they've gone for unique scenarios that might have, well, definitely, like Michael Jackson was the most popular man of all time, so he will be in the heart of white supremacy in the sense of everything will hit him. Hence why maybe he married 2 white women, adopted 3 white children, and turned white. Who knows? We don't know if that's connected to white supremacy or not. I suspect it was, right? But what I'm saying is we look at them with favorable eyes because we love them so, and we should never judge. We should never look at them negatively. However, we have to look at the collective behavioral patterns of our richest, most successful black people in a high selling period, i.e., the 80s, and realize almost every single one of them have married Europeans and they have died before the Europeans, and their assets have now gone to the Europeans. And so, regardless of the unique individual cases of how they end up there, that's where they end up. And what I'm saying is, when you look at collective data, that's how it works. You go okay. You go okay.
A
There are
lot of the black
99.
women around that time actually was with black men though. Around that
I,
time.
I, to be honest with you, I've always said that my main educational effort is towards black men. I've always said this. It's only because unfortunately Sister Tina was the most successful black woman from the 80s, maybe second, maybe first, second, one of the two, probably most successful for us.
Yeah,
And
wow. Who was you battling with? Who would you have put us to?
I would say
Madonna.
that Janet Jackson sold.
Oh, Janet Jackson. Yeah, it's
So
a hard era.
I'm not saying who's better, who's worse. I'm just saying that when you look at raw sales,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I think she was going like 10 platinum, 5
Yeah, I think
platinum.
Tina was bigger because she was more mainstream, wasn't she?
But because I have a database of like the high selling 80s sales,
Okay.
and I think Tina Turner, her biggest sales was the 80s, right? As in Simply the Best. That was the 80s. Am I right? I'm right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Simply the Best.
Or
Simply.
90s. I think I
If
remember
it's
that
the
song.
90s, then that's a different thing.
Oh,
Simply the Best single, 1988. All right,
wow.
and it was taken from. It was written by what album was it on? Because you used single from the album Foreign Affair, which is
I was still drinking milk. I'm not
there you
helped right
go,
now.
there you go, 88. And I'm just trying to see how much that album sold. So that album sold altogether, which is a lot. It sold 6 million, which is a lot. That's a lot. 6 million, especially in those days.
Yeah.
6
And
million.
6 million really meant like going out and buying 6 million copies.
Yeah, but then you
Like,
gotta understand. So, and then but her Simply the Best album came out in '91, and that sold 7 million. Yeah.
wow. So that one single Wow,
Oh, yeah,
that's
no,
yeah,
not the
that's
single. It's so the Simply the
yeah.
Best.
No, I was just saying that the single is only 1 million less than the whole album.
No,
So
no,
I hear
no,
what you're
no,
saying.
no, no. When I say Simply the Best, Simply the Best was just so you know was a single that the album named itself after as well. So when I say 7 million, that's talking about the album sales.
Yeah, but the single sales, did you say it was 6 million?
No, no. So what I'm saying is the
Oh,
Tina's album from the '80s, which is called Foreign Affair, sold sold
7.
6 million,
Oh,
and that had this had Private Dancer as a song,
okay.
the best. Oh, hold on. Oh, it had the best, and it had Look Into My Heart, Me Tender with Me Baby, I Don't Wanna Lose You, and Foreign Affair. Oh, you know what? I think she's then. If that's the case, then what is Simply the Best? This must. Oh, she made one very popular album, and then she made the best of all time the following
Yeah,
year.
it's like the
Yeah,
greatest hits kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. And that sold 7 million. And a lot of people make a lot of money off their greatest hits, right? So she sold
Mhm.
7 million off that. And then What's Love Got to Do with It came in 1993, and that sold like maybe 1.5 million. It looks like different time maybe. So simply no, What's Love Got to Do with It, which is a 93. Oh, it's a soundtrack to a film. Was that when the film came out?
Yeah, what's love got to do with it? Yeah.
So this is it's a soundtrack to the film, and that's what it is. So you look at what she's done. You know, it's amazing. Janet Jackson sold more than that
Okay.
because she sold more albums in the '80s at a high ratio, like 5-4, and whatever it
That's
is.
wild.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what they're giving off now is like she was like the biggest thing. So
Well, no, the thing is, well, second place in that time would be good, but Janet,
yeah,
let me just add up Janet
and she
Jackson
was
now.
older then as well. That was her second run. That was her
It was a third
comeback.
run. She every decade she was quite
She was
prominent.
yeah. She's
Yeah, so she came to so Janet Jackson would have been a younger woman, like
exactly
teenage, whatever it is, and then obviously Tina would have come in as an expert, coming back for her
yeah
third and
after
fourth run.
Ike. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to know like the who is the biggest selling of those two, I strongly suggest. So I'm just got this list there. Janet Jackson's first album is Janet Jackson. I'm not too sure if that'll be popular, but her first album went. Um, that doesn't even say. So does it kind of they don't even track on this one. Let's see, Street Dreams. So I think when she first came out, she kind of went under the radar because of her brothers. So Control. Oh, here we go. Control looks quite popular. This came out and Control. Oh, there you go. So Control. So 10 million. That's seen as Diamond, and that album came out in 1986.
Who's that?
Janet Jackson.
Oh yeah, the Control album. People are
Yeah,
still
and
living off of that album,
and
isn't
then
it? So
yeah, and in 1989 she released an album called The Rhythm Nation, and that album went. Where is it? 12 million. It's yeah, 12 million. That's more than Diamond. So yeah, Tina Turner, in my opinion, will probably be second place when it comes to overall sales compared to Janet. Either way, second place is still a lot. You sell, 20
yeah, she's
million.
still a legend anyway,
Super
man.
legend, super legend. Yeah.
She represents so much. So yeah.
But the pattern we're saying is obviously Janet Jackson herself, and this is another pattern that we have to look at. A lot of black people marry black people in a time where you had to marry black people, right? But when, so the 60s, 70s, and 80s, more, 70s, whatever it might be. But then you tend to find that when they're close to death age or older age, they tend to marry younger people of a different ethnic group. So Michael Jordan would be a good example of that. His wife's probably in her 30s or something, 40s, maybe in 20s, I don't know, right? And obviously he's one of the richest men of all time, from sports at least. So yeah, but what I'm saying is the individual stories of how a person gets there isn't our interest. It's more so the collective pattern. So when you look on data, it says this how much money black people collectively make. Here's how much is leaving the community because of marriage to non-black people.
Okay, no, it's just only because you said come on and talk about her, so I just was talking about her. I wasn't basing my icon on all black men, but I hear you.
I hear that. But what you're saying is important. What everyone was saying is important. Like we do need to have these conversations, and if there is a heightened data of abuse or problematic behavior, as there is, I mean, there is just across the board, to be honest, right? It needs to be highlighted. And this is
But her money could be going to her kids as well. Like
that's the
I
thing.
think, anyways, that it is. That's why I'm very cautious in this discussion of Tina Turner, because it might she might, she could be the poster child of what not to do, and then it turns out her kids have got all the money. So
Well,
she
this is
might
what
have done it well. And the way that she was so vigilant with her business up to her death, I wouldn't be surprised that she didn't
Singer
make
Tina
sure her
Turner,
kids
who's
were taken
yeah.
care of. But yeah, big up Melanated and Virtual Oath Studios as well.
I'm trying to find the picture. There we go. Here it is. So this is what I was trying to find out, because when I heard two of her sons died, because they wasn't mentioning that she had two adopted children who are still
Yeah,
alive,
yeah,
but I
two
think one of them
adopted
might be in going through hard times at the moment.
Okay.
So I heard that her husband will inherit like 45% of her wealth, and it said her adopted children, which I'm now thinking of these two. I'm now thinking of these two.
Yeah, so two from Ike, innit?
Yeah,
They're not even hers, yeah.
yeah, the two. Well, one from Ike and one from her. Oh no, one from yeah, two from Ike. That's right, two from Ike.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then I can say no more. Like that's that means they're getting 55% of her.
Exactly, of like millions next to
The
billions.
the next problem is we're well aware that I think one of them at least is going through challenges, and this is the thing. This is the next step, as in like when people who go through challenges inherit high wealth. When people who haven't been prepared for it. If we look at the first black millionaire, at least within the States, it's Madam C.J. Walker, I believe, and she did a tremendous business acumen and she raised a whole lot of money. But I think the challenge happened when she passed away. Her wealth went to her daughter, and I don't think her daughter was prepared. And I think even her daughter started marrying a lot of men and then divorced them, and they were getting half something like this. And yeah, with the empire kind of crumbled because the youth wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. So that's another thing.
It's
So
like
so many.
after people, we got to. I think it's yeah. I hear you. But it's just, I think it just goes to the point of just looking for community, isn't it? Because obviously, if Madam C.J. Walker has died and she's passed it on to her kids, do you know what I mean? She's done her job. So
Yes, yeah.
now it's up to the grown child as an adult to now do something. Do you know what I mean? So
I agree. But what I would say, and this is just something food for thought for the community, there is this concept of like preparing your children through education and through training that things are going to change, and also trying to destroy any sense of entitlement or because some like what we witnessed a few weeks back. Don't know if it's true or not true, but we covered it as a show. The singer, I forgot his name, bad guy. I forgot. Was it the black guy? He adopted a Filipino family. I forgot his name. Come on, shame on me.
he got adopted by a Filipino family.
No, he adopted a Filipino. He exchanged his black family for Filipino family.
Oh, Simon McKnight.
Yeah, Brian McKnight. There you go. So that brother there, and apparently, I don't know if it's true or not. He wasn't best pleased because he felt that his children were always expecting handouts, and and it is his responsibility to raise his children not to expect that. But I think he's just dropped the ball and said, "Well, I'm now going to adopt a new family and give them everything they want." Yeah, Brian McKnight, thank you for the support in the crowd. 10 points for that. Yeah. So, but once again, this is the thing. Like on this show, we try to. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it being in the black community, one thing that we always forget is, we're kind of starting, before the start line when it comes to a race, and we're probably wearing shoes that's too big for us, right? And that's the analogy of like, when we start and say collectively black people have no friends, we really mean that. So we're expected to move as a collective, forward, but there's tremendous disadvantages. And obviously the disadvantages is the legacy of what was done and the fact that the time to heal hasn't really been done. So we're seeing all these behavioral patterns. And then, what will happen is we see that kind of like, well, what do you want them to do? Of course, they're not going to marry black people. Black people are finished. Black people are stupid. Black people are not educated. Black people are, and let me just reverse it. Black men, let's just say black men. black men are dangerous.
But I
Black men
just
are
think it's accurate, bro. Like, even I think that's why I'm just so quiet. Because I just think this is why I see why certain sisters are so militant on being specific in the areas, because this doesn't go like. I'll read to the chat. So Fiona just listed Mary J. Blige, Tasha Smith, Sherry Shepherd. All these women are paying spouse support. Like, so where you're saying about, and this is the problem. I don't think it's not across the board thing with this, bro. Like, unfortunately, in our community, this is true on one side, it's not true on the other.
When you say spousal support, as in like they're going through the
yeah, so they are now paying their husband. So these men have they're like more the ones that I know of here, they were the ones in the wrong. The marriage split, and then they went to petition. Fiona, please, or anyone else in the chat, please put in anything that I've missed out. So the husband's gone to petition the court so they get spousal support. You know, like what the women normally get. These black men have now gone to the court with no shame, and then like now these women are paying for their ex-husbands. So this is what I'm saying, bro. It ain't. It's just, it's sad, man, but I can't pretend to, I can't. I got too much sense in my head, bro. And this is what I mean. That's Fiona. If you could click the link, because that was quite further up, but I wasn't reading the chats. But yeah, that's. I think Lady Divine's got crying faces. So yeah, it's.
Well, let's talk about it. So
Stockholm syndrome. Most of these women. And most of these women are child free. Jesus Christ.
So Keith Douglas is his name. He married a man called Keith Flo. So he says Keith Douglas is getting like money for the divorce. But the thing is, that is what actually happens, right? When it comes to who is the most wealthiest in a relationship.
No, bro, this is a new thing. Yeah, this is a new thing. Yeah. For a man to go and this is typically traditionally always been a woman, and technically she had kids and she needs to maintain the household. But this going for the woman when you have no kids and you're a man.
This
is not common.
I didn't know. Well, now you're saying that it's because I'm just thinking of like
it only happens one way. It happens when the woman goes, not when an able-bodied man has done something to cause the problem to the relationship. The relationship still goes, and then he wants her to pay for the rest of his life.
Well, that's a bit odd. That if I don't know the individual stories there, but if the man was the purpose of the breakup. Doesn't that then sever any kind of payment a woman has to do because he has damaged the relationship with his
you'd think so
abuse or whatever it might be?
Enlighten us, family, because I know the Mary J. Blige thing was the first I heard of it, and it was so he got rinsed apart. I can't believe, like when sis lists out the name, I'm like, actually, yeah, I've heard of these ones as well. So clearly, there's no shame. But okay, so Mary J's husband cheated. Wendy Williams' husband had a whole baby out of wedlock. Yeah, and that was very public. So this is what I mean. The list, like, the list can keep going, bro. So yeah, I think that's why we need to be very, just like the black men want people to be specific when we're talking about synchronized and unsynchronized. We need to be very specific here because the list can keep going. It's just, I remember the Wendy one now because that was very public as well. And I don't understand how can you tell us how these people are getting the money though? Because they're in the wrong. And they're able-bodied men.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. I think she's been married twice. The second one was Kevin Hunter.
That is Kevin Hunter. That's the one who took it from her. That's the one who was with her and divorced her. She has a son with him. The son stays with her.
Not him, no?
No. He went out and had a baby with someone else, bro. And she's now expected to. Oh my God, Fiona! I just realized. So now she's expected to pay for him and his baby that he had with another woman. Yeah, you see, and this is what I mean. It's Yeah.
Maybe we need to do a show because as far as I don't know. I don't know if I just want to make sure that this is correct because it's quite
It is correct, bro.
extreme.
The names that got mentioned are 100% correct, bro. You could do a quick Google now. Everyone knows about Mary J. Wendy Williams was public. I know the other one was worse. The Sherry one. Fiona, remind me about the Sherry one because I think the Sherry one's even worse because I think the guy made her have a baby and then left her with the baby or something when she had the baby. Like, yeah, bro. These are not. Yeah, yeah. You can. It's a quick Google.
Big up, Lady Divine, joining the panel. Welcome, Lady Divine, to the Black Betterment, to yourself.
Family, big up. I'm here creasing up listening to you and Kushti. Yeah, this is hilarious.
It's crazy. That's why I had to save her for. I'm like, this can't. Yeah, it's just not across the board. It's just that we can't. I understand the message. 100% agree with the message, but yeah, because even Stanley said at Kushti, law is about justice, not right and wrong. There is no justice there. I'm still waiting on the justification.
I think for me, Mary's the worst.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Sherry's bad
she
as
doesn't
well.
have a chick nor child. And she's been ordered to pay this grown-ass, able-bodied man that can physically go out there and work and do. But I do have to say a little bit of this, though. Most of the sisters, they made the grave mistake of making their husbands their managers.
Yeah,
that's where it gets
you're on Black Betterment though, because but mistake. You see what I mean? You can't do
business and pleasure, though, lady.
Business and pleasure. You see how we can't do good for doing bad? Because another mind you'd think, because the business mind in me would think, okay, he's a manager, 2 checks, 1 household. He has the interest of he has my interest at heart personally, and fundamentally for our business. But when a black woman does it, there she goes. It must have been her fault somewhere. Like, wow.
But since it happens a lot, even if you look at even the industry, it happens even with parents. You see certain kids suing their parents for taking money. So it happens all over. When it just part of that showbiz world.
All over. But what I'm saying is, if she didn't have done that, the next thing would have been, well, why is she letting money going out? Do you understand? You have an able man here. You got a man here. He's capable of being a manager. I think he was even a manager, to give her credit. I don't think he just jumped into it. I think he was in the music industry. So it would make sense to make him her manager, kind of thing. It's not like a Monique thing where she just made her husband the manager. I think he was in the music scene. So, but what I'm saying to you is this: I get it, but I'm saying that even if she didn't have done it, she would still be wrong, because they would have said, oh, you know, you've let this outsider, this white man manage your career, and now the money's going that way. She gives
the alternative could be, though, sis, you can still have a black manager, just not somebody that you're sharing. Remember, when you're sharing business, emotions, family, like, it becomes too much. It becomes overwhelming, and something will get strained.
Some couples have done brilliantly keeping businesses in house. It's actually made them.
You've got to be in that energy, though. So it's not everyone has that
I hear you, but I'm saying I'm not quick to judge like I know everything. From the facts that I know, she was supposed to be in love with this man, Mary J. Blige, and he was in the music industry. The man's telling you he's loved you. He knows the music industry. It would make sense. Do you understand? No way would she think this man would have used her up, eaten her up, spit her out, and then come for her for a check every month.
Not only for hold on. Let's just put this in. Not only for himself, for his. Let's make sure we highlight his children, not hers. His grown children. It's disgusting.
This is why I said to you, you can't do right for doing wrong.
So I'm reading that shutdown. Wendy Williams judge denies ex Kevin Hunter's demands for host to continue alimony payments after she admits he's broke. So that's 2023 February.
That was a recent one. So that means it stopped. So she was doing it. So it was right.
But I don't know how much she received. I'm trying to find how much it is. But whatever it is, it's stopped now. But saying that, this is I'm glad you brought up, because yes, there are problematic things that happen, but I think what Lady Divine says is true. There are still many constructive people, and also it's quite tricky because there are people out there where if they recognize the relationship is going down, something's gone wrong, they know how to work as a team for whatever reason, for the kids' sake or for whatever else, split what is owed and what is accrued. But then when you see some of these things where people are fighting and dragging their feet, you do question, was there love in any kind of way? Because, uh, you, it just seems a bit problematic. So we want to be careful when we talk to the community about good ideas and how to defend yourself. But ultimately, you want to have a trustful relationship where you can trust your partner with your finance.
Come on.
Do you know what I mean? That should be the ultimate goal. But at the same token, we do know that things happen, especially when people get rich. So the question is, how do you, defend yourself from certain things? And I guess that's what something that we're going to have to be covering, really. But I would like to say that this
Yeah,
is
it's sad, isn't it?
more people. You probably have more black couples who it works out for them rather than the ones who don't. That's if they're
Against
rich.
them.
Yeah,
100% would agree with that, especially in that industry.
yeah, yeah. And what was the lady? Monique. Monique was the lady, right?
Yeah, that's the one. The comedian.
Yeah, who they kind of
What is
tried to
that?
whiteball her, and
Yeah, I
and
like that.
then obviously her husband has always been there, and she said if it wasn't for him and his guidance and the money, blah blah, blah this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
so that's a scenario, and I think he really got her through that, and then he got her connections to you get back on, and now I think Netflix have to pay her something like this, something like that. So there
But
are
that could be said
examples.
for Wendy Williams still, and this is why I'm a bit like iffy when it comes to the Wendy Williams thing, because yes, we know the husband cheated and had a baby and all that, a whole baby on the side of her. But at the other side of the coin, though, without him, they couldn't have taken the liberties that they're doing with her now when they've stopped all her money. She has no access to her money. When Kevin was around, when she was with him as her husband and manager, none of that foolishness could happen. The industry couldn't take liberties with Wendy. Is once he was out of the picture, that's when her fall from grace came and her show got shut down. Do you see what I mean? So with her, it's kind of sticky because
No,
yes,
no, man.
no,
The
but sis,
reason
it
why.
is. Read the
Mm-mm,
biography, sis. It's
mm-mm. I
really
saw it.
sticky.
I saw it. People put your opinions on there. Not with Wendy, man, because Wendy was okay. They were doing fine together, but Wendy's downfall was him stepping out publicly.
Yeah,
Everyone.
but sis, she knew
Wait,
what.
hold on. Let me
Let's be
finish.
fair.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Hold on. Let me finish because I was going to say everyone suspects, and there's a strong argument that everyone says that she knew that he was stepping out. But of course, Wendy did what black women did, stayed on code and shut her mouth. But when he got her pregnant, when he started buying her stuff and people, she's in the media. Her whole thing in the media is to dog out people's dirt. He's buying things in her name. You know how much enemies she's got. If he's going to do that, he should have been smarter. You can't be the woman that dashes out everybody's dirt and your dirt's on there and she weren't talking about it. She was still trying to stay on code. He ruined it. He ruined up his whole setup. She got ill. She got embarrassed. And the only thing that Fee said, the only reason why they stopped the anime is because she can't work. She's ill now. She's like finished. Like
Yeah, she's completely finished. But I'm saying that the
her
industry
mental health and her
totally
physical
destroyed
health
her.
down from that point. That is 100%. Like that has been documented.
So Brother Kel says the community must have a say and control on both parties to prevent certain sexual moves. I think what that means is trying to have community, I guess, reach out, so community control or something where there's elders or someone who can actually advise on this stuff. People you go to, that might be an idea where you have middle people who can speak or and reason with both parties. Um, that other communities have that, funny enough, quite strong, where there's certain elders or certain community staples you can go to where they try to fight a reason before the lawyers get involved and the public get involved. They try to have a reason of can this be fixed, if it can't be fixed, hey, how it should be, here's the best way to split and this kind of stuff.
But that's what I was trying to say, Raven. That's exactly what happened with Wendy's. I don't know if people really know the actual intricates of their story, but what happened was the whole thing with Kevin, his whole argument has been and still remains, if you go and look it up, that the industry actually did everything in their power to stop a resolution, to make it go this far, because the Daily Mail was winning off the gossip. It literally is about money. So they just
but
kept
that's
pumping.
life. You
One
should have
second,
known the
Ziff.
game,
1 second. So what I'm saying is this.
Hmm.
Is yes, it's a catch 22 with him. Yes, he was the cause of her downfall. He made everything go public and whatever. But they were already hot on his tail. Remember, he was investigated for 3 years before he actually was exploded to the thing. They already knew of this. Wendy, Kate, she already knew it was coming. This was already in the pipeline. They were warned and warned and warned they're gonna do it. But because Kevin had so much power in these streets, and he's known for these things, they wouldn't dare. It was once when the cracks started to show and the baby now come out and it can no longer be hidden. That's when they started taking advantage, and they shut him out. They blocked him from all the meetings. They advised her to remove, and that's how it got really dirty.
Well, more for him for doing his dirt. Maybe or more to the point, he should have done his dirt. You know that you're getting watched and you do your dirt. It's your business. Don't expect alimony from me and your kid and your new woman.
What yeah, I think the thing is, there are these unique scenarios that follow many of these celebrities and the kind of lifestyles they live and what is expected, not expected. But I think we should see patterns, see things that don't work, and I guess try to have solutions. And people say having a kind of like mediator, and maybe even like signing before your marriage. There's certain things that can warrant a clean break, and one of them could be things like domestic abuse, as we were talking, unfortunately, about a few minutes ago with Tina Turner and stuff. There could be certain things that could warrant, if this is done, then a clean break can happen, and the split won't be the same because the reasons why that you broke up is because of violence or infidelity or whatever it might be. The question is, what does the panel think of Kel's solution? Is it
Solution?
Is it families with the bias mindset? However, the community thinking for the best interest of the collective on the code of conduct will prevent trickery. So I think Stanley.
That was a bit fast. I don't even know what his solution was.
Let me explain.
Stanley
So
families.
originally, Brother Kel said, let's see if we can find it. No, that's something else. Hold on. The community. There we go. The community must have a say and control on both parties to prevent deception moves. And then Brother Stanley, he came in with his opinion. No, the community should not. Direct family is a better idea. And obviously, Brother Kel came back and said, families with Stanley cross families will have a biased mindset. However, the community thinking for the best interest of the collective on the code of conduct will prevent trickery. So I think Brother Kel is saying that if there's like a community,
so the community should have a say, basically.
I think not. I think there should be scenarios set up personally where you can have people who can intervene to guidance. I don't know who that would be. But especially when it comes to people who are making a considerable amount of money, where their money can really make a difference and their assets can really, and that's the thing. Money does you have people who might never have any kind of money at all, wealth, and then all of a sudden they have enough to change millions of people's lives. It can change people.
That's what you call new money. That's what it does. New money, yeah.
Yeah. So this, especially when you got a community where most people don't make too much, if anything, and they're used to that concept. And this for many people, there's very few opportunities for them to make money. So marrying someone with lots of it is definitely an idea. But then obviously, if it doesn't work out, keeping enough. And I think we're seeing that with the brothers who are marrying the non-black women. Last week, a few weeks back, we covered the New Zealand Nigerian born MMA guy who was with a European girlfriend for I'm not sure how long it was, but they don't have children. They're not married, but he split up with her, and she still wants half of his pay, and she's trying to campaign to get half of his pay. So we see that. That it is, it's a thing that happens, right? But in regards to the interracial thing, I think we were talking about when we tried to bring up the economic question, and people said that you can't talk about love when it comes to interracial stuff because it's about love. And we said, well, could we not have a community solution where when you marry a non-black person, um, when you die, your inheritance goes to your sister or your mother, or it might be. Um, and that way you can really test if it's just about love and not finance and wealth. But I'm not too sure how many non-black women would go for such a deal. So there's a question: if you're a non-black person out there, would you marry a millionaire black person, and when that person dies, you don't inherit nothing; it goes to the children as well as the sisters of the actual um, husband. Let us know if that would work for you. If would you truly marry a black man just for love and not his wealth? That's an interesting question. Then I haven't seen one who said yes at the moment, but I have seen many who said they marry for love. Uh,
I'll just answer Faith's question. For me, I'm not sure about the community deciding on a relationship just because the community are quite lost at the moment. So I don't think that would be the best strategy for me right now. But definitely someone who is a mutual kind of, just like what's of people like I just think it's available now, is just someone who's a mutual party and who has sense. That's the best way to go for me. I just wanted to answer a question.
mm, mm, mm. Well, I think that could be the same, really, in the sense of seeking outside assistance from people who have yourself and obviously the community, the black people's progression at heart. Someone who can actually see the bigger picture. It is hard, but these are things that I suspect are not in play at the moment. But I guess with the Black Bear broadcast, we always think of ideas and solutions and cultural new concepts that could work in the collective best interest of black people. And that is, when you do have wealthy black people who accrued a lot, what idea could you implement to minimize these kind of tragic? Well, one, obviously, black couples fighting for wealth and doing heinous crimes but still receiving half the pay, and then obviously two, black people who in mass become richer and marry non-black people. Is there any kind of solutions that could happen that benefit black people from that interaction, if at all? Very tricky conversations. It's very odd because the average person doesn't talk about this, but that's because I think we look the other way when it comes to how marriage and love is connected to ownership and economics. And I think black people, and that's why we say we don't look at the individual cases, more of a collective. So if you look at the screen at the moment, we can actually point to and another case studies and stuff that we do a lot. And so we will look at things like every single politician male in the UK has a white wife. We look at the sheer amount of football players who play for England have white wives, while the ones who have black ones are less so far few. And as the years go by, it gets more increasing. The more popular black men get, the more every woman is fighting to be with them. And as a community, we need to say, what do we do to make sure that black women are pushed at the front of the list, and then behind them the bridge is blown up? So what do we do? What is the campaign? You see, yeah, the data is just there. Really, it's quite high, quite high. And then we've got data of dating apps and this kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, very interesting stuff. We also have the history of racial whitening. We talk about how if for those who don't know, there's a process from the Spanish and Portuguese communities from hundreds of years ago that still practice, and it's the way to destroy black people's economics, culture, and ownership, as well as biology, to convert black families for a few generations to become white families, and that's a very successful way of inheriting wealth. Very, very successful, very good way, and we see that today. But it's not called the same thing. So in the old days, they would call it Ham's Redemption, this kind of stuff. But today, it will be called like Kumbaya, or Love Has No Color, or Everyone's Benefiting, all these kind of terms, whatever. But generally, it's the same process, and that's why we look. Black people seem to be always at the back end. So the thing is, other groups, they use strategies to bring their people forward. So here at the Black Band, we try the strategies. But speaking of strategies, we'd like to welcome Brother Kel to the show. Black Band, Brother Kel.
Betterment, son, people. I just want to say, brother, that there's a lot of us African descendants who's doubt with when it comes to inheritance. We all know what our family members do when a relative passes away or has set a will. What happens is that the one who believes that it should go to them, they start doing very bizarre actions. You see, they start missing for a while. You don't see them for a couple of months. You understand? So you need like a collective, like what we've done, to be able to track them down. You understand? So they have to say, so if they're going to yard, then there are people who will follow you to yard. You understand? Or if you want to go to Lincolnshire, etc. The point is that money changes people, as what Lady D was saying. It makes them change. So we don't want you to change away for the best interest of our people. So you need people to track them down. And that's why I was saying the community should do it. It's worked many times. You know, I mean, you'll get your inheritance as long as people are on code and enforcing and dictating, etc. And that, then everyone will get their equal share.
That's a fact, Kel. But I want to add to that because I'll tell you what my family did. So nobody got money. Nobody got money. And this is a smart way of doing it. And I think I encourage the rest of the community to do it. I didn't even know this could be possible. So what my grandparents did, none of the siblings, my mom, none of her siblings got any money. What my grandmother and great and grandfather did, they invested in, so basically land, but the land that's bought has got many plots on this big piece of lands. And what it is that the land is divided, so everyone can build up individual houses on the land, but the plot of land can never be sold. That's just the way it's written. So we can always pass it on. It'll go down through generations, but it can never be sold. That's how it goes. So when you go to St. Lucia, the whole stretch of the road is covered by my entire family. So that's a way to get around it, where you don't have to worry about money and fighting over who's getting what. It's literally in black and white ink. It's law, it's stamped, it cannot be sold no matter what we do. We can fight each other over who's putting a house where or who's got a bit more of a bit of plot, but you can never sell anything. So there's never going to be a money return. So that's a way to get around it.
I look at there, and that's another great strategy. It's true. You know what I mean? But definitely, you know, I hope that the wealth of Tina Turner goes to black people, because you do understand that we are the ones that built up these people's establishments. They haven't helped us. They haven't destroyed unethical code of conduct or given up their beneficiary status. But then they're gonna claim that doesn't belong to them. So, yeah, man, we hope, man. We hope.
Okay. So yeah, for those joining, we've got 2 topics there. We invite the community to collaborate with ideas to promote black ownership, black economics, and black love. For those though, we Sister Kush had a starter idea last week called Black Love Is, and we've mocked up some ideas, and we're getting the community's feedback. And we're also asking the community if you have any ideas for economics or love. Economics ownership. Let us know. And then we were recently talking about Sister Tina Turner, probably the second best black woman singer, especially from the 80s, in sales wise, but obviously probably one of the high elite when it comes to just being an artist and loved and imitated. And we're just looking at her, obviously her life and legacy, and more so on legacy, who inherits what. And sometimes we have to have those hard questions about who we marry will inherit our wealth. And then we also talk about the patterns that we notice that for whatever reason, we find many of our black high-earning community tend to be marrying outside the community. So that's something that we've been observing. But we welcome Brother Stanley. Welcome, Brother Stanley. Black Betterment to you.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
Hey, Brother Stanley.
How you doing, Kirsty?
I'm good, bro. Long time no hear.
All right.
Oh, I've been watching every now and again.
I know you have.
I just want to say one thing, and I know I'm famous for being controversial.
Mm.
You don't want communities take sides, just like I think family's a better option. It sounds like, and I don't know the details, but it sounds like Tina Turner actually made good decisions. You don't want the community involved in like family assets or anything like that. You want a good lawyer, maybe a lawyer who's familiar with the family, but you don't want, you know, um, now this is an American context, but you don't want um, generational wealth decided by the community. That's that's an invitation to just chaos.
Okay. I think what we're talking about is if you do get like a community building concept where there is a value in generational wealth, black people prospering, black people earning, and that kind of stuff, and that is at the heart of all your, I guess, agreements. Then it'll be those kind of people who will be lending in. I think that's the idea.
This makes no sense, man, because we were talking about the community who is based upon principles, a code of
Okay,
conduct.
I don't think
This is what we're hold up, brother. I didn't interrupt you, brother.
my
All due respect, you right.
my-
But at the same time, brother, the Democrats, the Republicans, they seem to have control on the African Americans when it comes to money dealing. So why do you want them to do it when the community can do it? That's my question for
okay,
you.
can I interject here? Who here, besides melanated, even lives in the United States? How do you know what you're saying applies to Democrats and Republicans in like the way generational wealth works in the United States? You're guessing.
I'm not guessing at all because, as I
Yes,
said to
you
you,
are.
hold on, brother.
No,
Because
I no,
why are
please
we,
don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you.
why are we allowing?
You
Hold on,
have
brother.
put
Why are we allowing
stick
laws
to England. Stick
and
to
Hold
the
on,
rules
hold
in
on,
racist
England
wait, wait,
because
hold on.
and
you are
racist
Guys,
political
drinking.
parties?
brother,
Confusion.
let me just meet you for a bit. Hold on, brother. So, Stanley, what we want to do is let's have a back and forth. If you have something,
Okay, my
hold on.
main point
Wait,
is
hold on,
that
Stanley.
don't bring Democrats and Republicans into something you don't know about.
Where is this mute button? I'm just looking for your mute. I'm just gonna test your mute button work. So yeah, it does work. So what I was saying is, yeah, let's just try to have a civilized back and forth. Your idea, we're listening to your ideas. What I would say though is telling someone to just focus on England doesn't really work here. Like, this
Okay,
universe.
let me be very clear and let me be civil while I do it. The laws for inherited wealth in the US generally have nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans,
Okay.
and you do not want a community involved with inherited wealth.
All right.
That is my point from someone who literally
Right.
lived in America and is relatively familiar with how this stuff works.
Right. So shall we let
Democrat and
Brother Carol?
Republican has nothing to do with it.
Cool. Now you've made your point. Can we have Brother Carol respond to what you say?
Oh, please.
Now, brother, we are talking about the community having a government over a government, right? Until we get our power back, that we can dictate principles how we distribute wealth that is owed to us, inheritance, right? And you're saying the justice of law, right? This is what you were saying in the chat, right? But the law is not on our side. We've just
Okay,
heard.
can I
Hold on,
ask?
brother.
Can I
Hold on,
please ask
brother.
a
Hold
quick
on.
question?
No, 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 no,
Which
no, brother.
law?
Because
There,
hold on, brother. Because we've just been in the chat,
there
right?
is no the
And
law.
hold on. Now this is why we can't have a dialogue. You see, you're flaming on like the Human Torch from Fantastic Four. Because I've just been explaining to you in the chat, right? You was literally saying when the sisters were saying that the Wendy Williams, etc., they have to pay for child support. You were saying that's justice, but then when we was talking about interracial relationship,
No,
you
I
were going
didn't
against that.
comment on Wendy Williams or any of that stuff. You're confusing me with other people.
Welcome, Sister Melanated, Black Betterment.
Big up. Peace, everyone. Peace to everyone in the chat and
Please,
everyone on the
please.
panel. I'll be listening in and chiming in whenever.
Okay, so yeah, so okay, thanks for your contribution, brother Stanley. I think maybe what we might do is what is your views, brother Stanley, on Black Love? What's your views on Black Love? You think it's a good idea?
Well, it's kind of, well, I'm unsynchronized, so do we really need to go over old ground?
So you
Why
don't
are you
believe?
so
I mean,
proud to say this, brother Stanley?
I think you know me well enough to know the answer. I'm
No,
just saying.
Stanley,
Stanley, this is a
one
new
second,
show.
sisters. Stanley, can you explain to us why you feel so proud? I can hear the smile in your voice as you say it. Why are you so proud to say this?
Say what?
You're unsynchronized.
Oh, well, I'm neither proud nor not proud. I just don't agree. But the point, and really the only reason I called in is you just don't want communities involved in the way money gets transferred within a family. That's really my main point.
The non-Africans formulate a community to control how we get our money. What are we dealing
Well,
with, brother
no,
Stan?
I'm assuming the family is black. You don't want the black community involved. You don't want the white community involved. My main point is you want the family involved.
So, brother Stanley, I think what it is we're analyzing when things break down in the black community. So, two things have highlighted. One is
Well, we're
where
not talking community. We're talking family.
hold on. Let me finish, and you can jump in. So one thing we're seeing is like where someone might marry, and they marry, and their inheritance goes to another community outside the black community, and one where it's like there's a breakdown where there's a disagreement with payments and people are dragging their feet through court. So we're saying with these two incidents, can we have a community-based solution? And so we're
No.
talking about a prototype at this point. It's a prototype, like, and we're trying to break down how that prototype would be. So you're obviously against that concept, and you're giving your reasons. And we
Well,
understand that.
no, you know what? And I'm not going to fuss much more. I'm just saying, even if it's a mixed marriage, even if it's an unsynchronized marriage, the last thing you want is a community that is not family into an intra-family financial decision.
What if that family doesn't have the family to deal with the scale of what's going on? So there's many families that separated, death, and maybe not get on because of wars.
Oh, so you're not talking death. You're talking like alimony and that sort of stuff.
Well, I'm talking about there are some people they don't like even in the Tina Turner scenario, they said that some of them haven't spoken to her in 15, 20 years. So you might need some kind of institution, advice, community that has a code of conduct of how to better serve black families. So let's keep it at black families. How to serve the best interests of black families, and they come
Well,
into
let me
mix.
ask you a quick question when you're done.
Go ahead. You can jump in. Go ahead.
I thought I heard that, her affairs were fairly settled. Her money went to the people she wanted it to go to. Is that correct? Or did I misunderstand?
No, that's
Yeah,
correct. That's correct.
but
Okay, then what is the question? Apparently, she had enough foresight, and I thoroughly congratulate that woman
So there's
for
two things.
making sure that she did it within a family and the community did not get involved.
So, Brother Stanley, what happened was, and you probably missed it, some of the sisters were bringing up certain scenarios of black women who got married, and there was disagreements with finance and why they had to pay their husbands, and the husbands might have been part of the process of the breakdown of the marriage. So, so when this came up, solutions were pushed for that. Maybe we could have community interventions, institutions that's dedicated to get involved before it gets very sticky with the media and lawyers. That's what it's about. As for Tina Turner,
Okay, so we're not talking Tina Turner.
No, we're not talking about. As for Tina Turner, let me finish, just because I'm sure you will like this answer as well. As Tina Turner, we're more pondering about the amount of black rich people who don't marry black people, and if we could also have a solution to that, as in how do we make constructive black families, especially when it comes to rich, successful black men and women, but in this case it's women, but more so we're talking about men, to be honest.
Let me ask you a question.
Another one.
If rich black men marry non-black women,
I'll show you. If you keep looking at the screen, I don't know if you're using your phone or you're just.
Yeah, I'm using my phone, but I can see. But let me finish my question.
Wait, let him finish. Go ahead.
Yes, there. These are the men.
Right.
So basically, these
any of them American?
Well, if we look for the American on this list, here's the American. So this is a list of Americans. This was when they were picking the Supreme Court.
Clarence Thomas.
Hold on. What we're looking at the pattern that every single woman that they push forward to get this role seems to be either not married at all, or they're married to white men. So there was one sister who was married to, I think she's a Nigerian lady, but she didn't stand a chance. But what we're noticing is a pattern that no matter who won or who was more favorable to win, they all end up having white husbands. Now we're not trying to have conspiracy theories, but we're seeing that with the new wealth, the new wealth that's coming to this kind of people, we understand that if they have white husbands and they have, they're married to this, their money's now going back to the white community. And if their children follow the same suit, which a lot of them do, then there's a process that we know as Ham's redemption or racial whitening. So we're seeing all these patterns that seem to happen, regardless if you're in Canada, England, South Africa, America, whatever it might be. So
okay,
do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. You're talking about the American Supreme Court?
No, we're talking about patterns, brother. As in, we're seeing a pattern of black behavior.
Wait, so Stanley, can we just get to the gist of it? Stanley, are you saying that black men in America don't date out, or do you feel like there's no evidence to indicate that black men date outside their race?
Oh no, there's
if
plenty
you
of
agree that
evidence.
they do, okay, then. So therefore, then if you would admit that it occurs in America also, then why can't Brother Raven say what he was saying? Why point out
let's
how many
go
of those
a little
people?
bit deeper
Let me finish my question, and then you can understand what you're going to address. Why not, when he's showing an image with all of these people who are dating out? I don't see now. After you've answered my question, I don't see the relevance in asking him, are those Americans? The point is, it's black men who are dating out and having. So they didn't say the American dollar, because his point wasn't the American dollar. Black men in America are giving their wealth out. They didn't say the black people in the UK. They're saying black people in general.
Okay. Well, that's a fundamental disagreement that Brother Raven and I have, and I have the argument often. I understand the space and the folks I'm talking to. I don't know that
Pan-Africans.
I'm not a Pan-Africanist. I think
right.
that
No, you said the space. I'm saying the space is Pan-African space.
There's a shared heritage but there's not a shared history.
Can
So
I just
black people, ADOS specifically in the United States,
Right,
we
but
share a
we're not. This is
heritage.
not an ADOS conversation. We're not
Well,
making
no,
this
no,
an
no, no. I
ADOS.
mean
The whole
ADOS, not the.
conversation was
I
not an
mean
ADOS
ADOS,
conversation.
not the group, but the
No,
heritage.
but we that wasn't
I
talking
mean the
about the
heritage.
ADOS people. We weren't that wasn't the conversation. So that no need to even
Okay,
take
well,
the
you're
conversation
changing
there.
the conversation.
No, the conversation was
All
not an
black
ADOS
people,
conversation.
all black
The
people are not
conversation
alike.
you're
Is
changing
my
the
basic
conversation.
concept.
You're
Well,
changing
hold
the
on, family.
conversation.
Pan
So,
Africanism is nice, but all black people aren't alike. That's my
right.
point.
But Brother Stanley, this is, and obviously you're a character who has a certain persona, and this is your persona. But what I'm saying is, we talk about patterns, and the pattern we're talking about is the heightened level of African descended people, black people, who get to a certain pinnacle in their career,
Uh-huh.
marry out, and that's the study, the case study we're doing, and then we're looking at
Well,
the
where's the data? You show pictures,
Let him
but where's
finish
the
his
stats?
sentence.
Brother Stanley. The thing is, Brother Stanley, is you might be wired to always try to undermine the information.
Well,
So
I'm not.
regardless,
I
hold on,
don't
because you're
mean
doing it
to
so far.
undermine.
Well, you are doing so far. So the question you ask is, why do you think you do that? What is it about black people?
Okay, now it's all about me and not the topic we were talking about.
No,
Am
because
I
you're
the topic now?
you could be because
You wanted to be the topic because every time he's talking, then you start talking. So now
Well,
he's
you know
allowing you to
what?
talk, and
I
you got
can
a
never
problem.
finish a sentence. All I'm saying is I actually don't necessarily disagree with your point, but showing a bunch of pictures is not data.
now, Brother Stanley, what is your
Do
view?
most rich black men marry outside of their race? Where is the statistical data to back up your statement?
Brother
That's
Stanley,
my point.
Brother Stanley, I'll ask you a question. What's your views on black women?
Okay, please don't do that. You're changing the topic.
No,
You
he been
showed
asked you
a
that
bunch
question
of
and you didn't answer.
pictures.
He
Where
asked you
is
that
the
question like
data,
15 minutes
Rap?
ago. He
Bro-
asked
bro-
you that question 15 minutes ago and you ignored
Okay,
the
and
question,
now I'm
Stanley.
answering it. I
Black
think
love,
you
go ahead.
might have, ma'am, please let Rap finish his statement. My question is I'm not sure I disagree with your point.
the thing is,
I
Brother
would
Stanley,
feel
the,
more
uh,
comfortable with your point if
here's the
you could do more than show pictures.
let me explain.
Provide
Let me
us
explain. I'm
data.
gonna mute you for 4 seconds because you might not be hearing me. Cool. So here's what it
Provide
is.
us data is my point.
Hold on. We welcome opinions, but the issue is it's almost like
It's
going
not
out
an
to
opinion to ask for data.
let's mute you for 14 seconds because you're misunderstanding. So it's almost like going to a vegan show and then start trying to sell hamburgers. You're missing the concept. Now, if you want to talk about strategies or ways to do it, that's fine. But fundamentally, you might be against everything the show's about. So it might. We've got this campaign that Empress Christie is helping us push forward, and you might be fundamentally against it. You might be think this is what I'm against. No, black love. Oh no. But what we're saying is we're trying to think of ways and campaigns and ideas and institutions of how to push black people forward. And we recognize that constructive black man with constructive black woman is a good idea, you see. But we also understand that, when it comes to living and accruing wealth and gaining wealth and stuff, that at some point you're going to pass it down for your death as we're observing. And we understand that your wife and your children are going to inherit it. So we're looking at how wealth has slipped through the black community all over the world historically. And what's that? We're showing patterns, and it's like you're not necessarily interested in the pattern. That might be because you're not actually interested in black people progressing, you see. And if you're not, say that so we can approach you from that angle rather than some mystery kind of angle where I'm here for data. You can unmute yourself now. I haven't done a permanent mute.
We have moved from data to my personal life. Thanks, Rap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I'm saying is you might never. So you're very good at not answering questions, but
No,
no.
I'm very good at answering your questions. I'm also very good at giving you answers you can't address or you just don't like. How about
So
you deal with my answer?
everyone on the panel is aware that when you compare men, yeah, whether it's the UK, Canada, or England, if you look at data, men marry out at a higher rate than any other men group. We're aware of this, right? And especially when men become, I want to say black men, sorry, especially when uh, men become more wealthier. Yeah, it's something we know.
If everyone on the panel disagrees, do you think that's going to stop me from making my point?
No, because we're trying to work out is if you might be pre-programmed to try to undermine black progress. And what the reason why we say this is because we observe this behavior very well whenever we go out. And we're saying that just like we look at all these things like Hand Redemption, which is an actual campaign to make black people marry non-black people, because we understand that historically in the media, in the culture, in the television, whatever it might be, right? We understand that this can actually happen. That you can be part of the black community and train to undermine black progress, and it will your dopamines will explode with joy.
You have gone so far of.
So I'm just gonna leave. Let me finish. You can jump in afterwards, right? Because we're
I
aware.
can't even.
Hold on, brother. I mean, you can finish afterwards. No, we enjoy hearing your voice, but let's just mute for 4 seconds. Now, what it is, because we're aware of this, we have to identify and try to provide solutions. So you bring value to the show because you might be showing these kind of tendencies. We don't know. Hence why we ask you questions. What's your views on black love? Now, if this concept completely repels you, then we go, okay, so you might be a byproduct of the marketing of anti-black racism. We don't know. So we're just asking this kind of questions, aren't we? Just so you know, brothers, when we talk.
I thought you were going.
Let me just answer the question to the people who think. When we talk to brothers like this, at a certain point, we are still doing a case study. So some people might think we're wasting time, but actually, we're doing case studies because you will come across many brothers and sisters who practice similar behavioral patterns. And the idea is to understand how to deal with it, or to at least understand why it comes from, where it comes from.
Can I answer now?
You can, but we have just before you answer.
Can I answer or not, sir?
You can. When you answer them, we're going to invite the others because we don't want to hog up. Just
well, good. I'd probably be welcome to hear some other voices.
Answer the question.
I'm certainly not against black love, but I'm also for a black man or a black woman. I don't think love has a color. I don't think there's a prescription, and I'm certainly not going to be synchronized with foolishness.
Okay, we're going to meet you for a bit. So that's why everything we say will probably repel you, because here we promote black love. We see it's quite important for building communities. It's a community that has quite a low levels of love in so many areas. So we promote campaigns to actually push it. It's very interesting because, when you see things like trans love and gay love, this kind of stuff, everyone is, they're all hands up, everyone's doing it, rainbow everywhere. But obviously when black love comes in, because of the anti-black marketing, you will find people within the community who are against it. So, some people might just keep quiet. Some people might go, no, I'm all for it, even though I don't do it. We tend to not get that. We get people who were repelled by the concept. And the reason why we have to do these case studies, because sometimes you're wondering, why is it that so many maybe black men are dating out? But what we're seeing is there is actually a fear in even announcing you love black women or you love, black families. There's a fear. And
is that...
you can meet you 5 seconds and you can jump in. And hopefully Brother Stanley is identifying this, and we can study what has happened to make brothers like this really against black love. Very interested in the study. And now you can speak, Brother Stanley.
I might be the most experienced at dating out. Can I answer?
I suspect you are. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Does anyone else want to answer your question? Why are black men, or why do black men date out? That was your question, right?
Well, we can answer from the data we've got.
We can't answer that. We're not black men, but Stanley, you can talk. You can speak on it.
Black men who date out.
You're an expert.
Wait, was that the question, Raven?
It is the question. But what's happening? We've got a black man who really loves and loves to date out. So maybe we can find out what that is. So go ahead, Brother Stan.
So
go on, Brother Stan.
Well, there are qualifications to what you say. I haven't dated, well, you pretty much know my story. So, dating out is really not applicable. However, I was married, and it was a free choice. I didn't specifically look to date out.
Mm,
It just happened.
right.
So my point is a black man should date who he wants to date.
We reject that, by the way, as in we promote a template
I
of.
did
Hold on, let me just qualify.
I did
You can jump out. You can jump in and
I
add your piece. Hold on. I'm just
did
saying
not
that I don't. But I'm just gonna put a full stop and
why am
confirm.
I
I might have to push you down if you keep pressing on mute, my friend. So what we're saying is you can jump. But what I'm saying is on the Black Batman broadcast, we promote the template of constructive black man, constructive black woman. So that's what we do here. So just to make that clear, that's a very important. It's one of the key principles on trying to rebuild the broken black dynamic with a relationship. So Brother Stanley is someone, but the question I push to you now is part of what you're saying, Stanley, is if you were raised in a kind of either pro-black or a black love kind of family home where they were trying to promote you to actually marry a black sister, do you reckon that might heighten the chance of you picking a black woman? Because you said you didn't choose, but if you were raised in a culture that was preparing you for that reality, do you think that might heighten the chance of you actually trying to marry a black woman? That's the question, Brother Stan.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So if you were
I
raised, if you were raised in a family where they were raising you to marry a black woman, so they're trying to get you constructive, and they're trying to make you find a black woman to start a constructive black family, and then eventually contribute to the wider black, success, economics, institutions, where they're rearing you for that. Do you reckon if they did that, that would heighten your chance of wanting to be a black woman, or do you reckon it wouldn't do that at all? You would still end up with a European woman or a non-black woman?
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, you can, but I mean, I did
Have
ask you one.
you ever thought
He
that
didn't answer the question.
Yeah, no, it's the question I understand. Yeah.
melanated, does he need
I wanted to
help?
hear your answer.
Well,
It's going to be, they're very intrigued to hear your answer, Brother Stanley, because that's why we're here.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
all.
start the study. So could you
Want to
maybe
hear
answer
the
that?
chat.
Could you answer the question, then ask your question if possible? Go ahead.
do you think I've not dated black women?
Once again, can you answer the question,
Okay,
brother?
no. You answer my question.
Andy, can I just quickly remind you, not to interfere in your conversation, but remember what Brother Raven said to ask you actually right now a case study. So can you please help out with answering?
You can't do case studies without data. He's
No, the
showing
situation.
pictures.
Listen. The situation we're in right now with this
What
conversation is
situation?
the conversation. So can you answer the question,
Okay,
please?
I've dated black women. I date who I want. That's my answer. And
But
I
the point,
certainly married who I wanted to.
but you end up marrying a white woman.
He
What we're saying is, what would could your family at a young age have influenced you
Well, do
to?
you think I didn't?
Hold on, let me ask the question just so you can make clear. If your family raised you to marry a black woman and they made it culturally important and they told you it's very important because we're
Good
collectively
question.
inadequate, and we want to,
Great
we want,
question.
yeah. Would you reckon that would heighten the chance of you actually marrying a
Well, let
black
me.
rather than a white woman? Go ahead, brother Stanley. Now we're very intrigued.
Do you really think that my black mother and my black father raised me to marry a black woman?
No, I don't
yes.
believe so. I don't believe they raised you to marry a black
Exactly.
woman. I think I would like to think they did, but from the way you're speaking, I suspect that wasn't the case. So what I'm saying is, if they did, if your family said it was very important for you to marry a black woman, would you reckon that would heighten the chance of you marrying a black woman? Not so much. What do you reckon?
Um, can you repeat the question? Because I'm not sure it made sense.
I'll say it one more time. If your family actually raised you with purpose, like you see how the royal family they raise their children to marry another royal family, right? Or at least a well-to-do person who's in that kind of same kind of
Ask,
lineage. Hold on, here's a question. If your
ask.
family, here it goes. If your family was to raise you to marry a black woman and they made it as appealing as possible, do you think you would have ended up with a black woman?
Now, can I complete my answer
Go
without
ahead.
a lot of interruptions?
Go
Is that
ahead.
possible?
As long as there's an answer, go ahead.
Well, there'll be an answer. My black mother and my black father raised me to be smart and make my own choices once I became an adult.
Mm.
That's my answer.
So
So
once
your answer
again,
it was no. Your answer was no. That the being raised that certain way wouldn't have yielded for you to have a black wife
Melanated,
because
are you rap?
no, but she's answering the question I
I'm
asked.
on the panel.
Okay, are you a
I'm on
co-host
the
or something?
panel. I'm
Yeah,
on the
I'm a
panel.
Yes,
co-host. We're all
yes,
co-hosts.
yes, yes.
Okay. So
Okay,
let's
study.
do one
This is
question at a
discussion.
time.
I wanted to ask.
Rap Raven, did I answer your question?
No.
Why is he offended
Okay, wait, hold it.
by me
I
One at
interjecting?
a time.
Rap Raven says I
Okay.
haven't answered his question, Melanated.
You
And
haven't answered the
he
question.
Okay,
You have,
well, Rap, please continue asking questions. Don't know why
just
Melanated
clarify yourself.
interrupted you,
I'm
brother.
on.
well,
It's a panel,
You're gonna
and
let
Raven is not
Melanated.
complaining.
I want to meet you for a
Raven is
bit.
not complaining. Why are you complaining? So
Hold
it's a
on,
I'm
panel.
family. I'm just
not
making sure you're
complaining.
I'm just gonna mute
It's
you.
a panel. It sounds like you're
I'm
complaining. All
laughing.
right.
Since the minute you got this, sometimes not all black people, but sometimes
Rap,
black people engage in time
did
wasting. And
I
what's going on here? But what you're
did I
what we're analyzing
did
is
I
how it's so much time is actually spent not answering the question. So and this is what we're saying. It's an important topic of black love, and what people observe from home is this: he will not answer this question so far. So
did
once
I
more
answer your
time,
question?
let's analyze to see if he answers the actual question. So one more time, brother Stanley, and here it comes.
Before you go, Raven, sorry. Sis Melanated, do us a favour, yeah, sis? Rest in your femininity. The brothers have got this. Yeah? Big up.
So, Brother Stanley, the question
Yes,
is
sir.
if your family were to raise you to marry a black woman, and that was the
Oh,
sole
were?
purpose, yeah,
So we're doing hypotheticals?
hypothetical, do you think that would heighten the chance
Okay.
of you marrying a
I
black woman?
don't do hypotheticals, Rap. I'll leave that to you.
Right. So, you haven't answered the question. So, thank you very much.
No, I was.
We're going to meet you for now. What it is hopefully the case study has been complete. And we do see, as I know Brother Stanley is a very unique case. However, we do see similar things when it comes to many black men talking about being with black women. And we put this down to like obviously the unethical branding of anti black branding and also being conquered to. I'm not saying Brother Stanley is conquered, but what I'm saying is there's definitely a being dominated nature where black men feel intimidated to even confess their love for black women, or they see tremendous alluring status in not being a black woman. And obviously, at the highest echelon will be the European person. The reason we can do this is because when you look at other people groups, for example, if you look at Palestinians or we look up Jewish people, we analyze that. They will go through like hardship through the Nazi war. They go through hardship for obviously the Palestine scenario that's going on. But what we find is the men in those groups don't, in mass numbers, flock to marry the women of the oppressing group. But in our group, we see a high level of black men flocking towards the women of the oppressed group. So this is very interesting. Now, bro, we're joined by Buddha Bing. I don't know if anyone wants to stop off to let him in. I'm saying it probably make more sense to remove Stanley at the moment, but maybe Brother Bing wants to talk to him. I'm not too sure. So, Brother Stanley, can I just push you down for a second and then maybe push you back? I don't know how to.
Well, wait, you want me to leave?
No, what is we've got a new person who wants to join the panel, but we're full.
No, you're just being the background, just behind the
Yeah,
back,
you'll be in the
because
back.
there's only a set amount of numbers that
Sure.
can have on the panel.
So we're just going to move for 14 seconds and see what Brother Bing has to say. There you go. Now make a space. There you go. Just so you know, we do reserve the right to leave the space for more people who want to promote Black love. But go ahead, Brother Bing. Black Ram to yourself. How's it going?
Yo, big up everyone. My mic
Yes,
is
welcome, Buddha.
big up. My mic's doing me a disservice tonight. So look, if anything, if Mr. Stanley wants to say some things, I'm happy to come back later when it's not so busy. Otherwise, I mean, I just wanted to drop some contributions into the conversation, but I don't feel that it's necessary for me to take some space to do that. So if anything, I can chat from the back channel, son.
Well, bro,
Welcome,
hold
Buddha.
on. Before you speak, this is very important. This might be very shocking to many others, but there is a codified way how we do stuff, and unless we're doing direct case studies of invited certain ideologies, we do reserve the right to give more space for people who want to practice Black Betterment for those who don't. And that might sound very shocking to the community, but because the actual broadcast is called Black Betterment Broadcast, we reserve the right to give more space to people who agree with the philosophy, rather than those who actually think it's actually a terrible idea. So, Brother Bean, if this is your chance, if there's anything you like to do that could contribute to Black people moving forward, then by all
Yeah.
means, you can.
So definitely, I'm for Black Betterment.
Excellent.
For my spiritual beliefs, I'm for the betterment of human beings as a whole. But vis-a-vis my spiritual beliefs, I'm obligated to help the most needing in society, and that just so happens to be Black people of color. Okay, so I'm definitely for Black Betterment. However, I'm confused by this. What is it exactly? Is it stepping out of your race when you're coming to forming relationships or marriages? Is that what this conversation is about?
Well, originally, what it was is unfortunately, Sister Tina Turner passed away, and a
Yes.
wonderful musician of great history. And what we were saying is we were looking at patterns that many Black people, more so men, but also women as well, when they get very wealthy, at a certain point they tend to marry out, and then because the sister had such a high wealth accumulation, she's 250 million. We understand that her husband, at the very least, is getting 50% of that. So we're saying that is this something as a community we need to rectify to try to make as many constructive or at least wealthy Black men or women marry constructive Black men and women? And that was kind of where it kind of was going. And then we use examples of where women might have been shortchanged by Black men who will take half their wealth even though they were responsible for breaking down the relationship.
So
So that's
okay, so can we look at that? Can we examine that for a second
Yeah.
in regards to Tina Turner, the legend, may she rest in peace, a
of course.
fellow Buddhist at that.
There you go.
So look, do you think she made a mistake by marrying this white man?
So, me personally, what I always say, in order to minimize anxiety in the community, I never really judge the individual executions of people or what motivates them. It's more about a consistent template that can never change. So it's almost like Jesus Christ. He said, "Don't kill anyone." Although there's plenty of reasons why you should kill someone. However, his template never changed. Don't kill anyone. So it's that kind of thing where it's like I'm always going to promote constructive Black man, constructive Black woman. However, I'm well aware that certain scenarios happen, and this is one of those scenarios. But what's more important than all that isn't the individual choice of Sister Tina Turner. More so, when we look at the data, for example, we were looking at people in the 80s who sold the most records, and of all of them, including brother Michael Jackson, Prince, Lionel Richie, these kind of people, Janet Jackson, you find that all the highest selling Black people from the 80s all married white people, right? And the only ones that didn't was what's the sister's name? She married Bobby Brown. I'm bad.
Whitney Houston.
I'm a bad guy. Whitney Houston, but obviously Whitney Houston, they went through their ups and downs. It was tragic. But we were saying the individual choices of Black people, we don't necessarily judge or try to really, we don't judge it, but we do say that there is a template we promote, and we always ask people, what is your views of the template? Do you think it's a good idea for Black people to become constructive and marry Black people, or do you think it's a bad idea? Unfortunately, the last case study, we kind of got it was somewhat of a bad idea. But we just wonder, what is people's views on that?
So for me, I believe it's a positive thing for people to marry and form relationships within their own ethnicity. That's positive in the sense that it progresses the ethnicity itself or the race itself.
Right.
But where the waters get muddied is if somebody is so it goes along this line. I think we've had this conversation many a time on Nine Ether's channel, and big up Nine Ether. So it's for me, it's this: am I accepted as Black? Being a person of mixed heritage, primarily, am I accepted as Black? If I am not, does it matter who I marry? Because clearly, the group is not going to accept me. The diaspora is not going to expect me. However, for all intents and purposes,
Right.
I am part of the Black diaspora.
Right.
Vis-a-vis my ancestry, vis-a-vis my geological
brother
proximity to Africa itself.
Yeah. all we can do, let me answer that quickly. So all we can do is judge you by the Black Betterment standard, and the Black Betterment standard is people who have one black parent are welcome to practice Black Betterment. Historically, this has always been the case. There was never too much distinction here and there when it comes to uh, one one parented black people, person with one black parent to actually be in the community and thrive and marry other black people. When you look at the diaspora, almost every single person that will have some form of non-black ancestry. So we understand that it happened, right? So
Brilliant.
from a black Bama standpoint, we don't necessarily mistreat a judge or let's say, but what we do say is we're aware. Have you ever heard of something known as Ham's Redemption, brother?
Uh, that's a biblical thing. Yeah.
Well, I'll explain it. So this, even though it is somewhat of a biblical thing, the context it was used in wasn't necessarily biblical when it comes to execution. And what it is in the Portuguese and Spanish countries, what they did is because they despised Africa so much, what they wanted to do was find a way to destroy black people. So they limited Negroes, as they call it. They limited education to black people, and they said the only way you can get a job, educate yourself, or be included in society is if you were to marry a non-black person, and then your offspring will have slightly more rights than you, but they themselves won't have full rights. But after a process of maybe 2 to 4 generations, if a new white person can be produced, and that person will then be treated as white, and they can be educated, and they can go for office, and they can progress. This behavior and this what they call black mentor, racial whitening, and hand redemption is something that is and was and still is practiced in the Portuguese and Spanish speaking American countries. Now we also observe it to an extent in the Australias as it pertains to the Aborigines, but we see a similar behavioral pattern in the UK. Now we're not saying it's promoted as the same kind of word, but the outcome seems to be the same. So in regards to yourself, if you're of a one black parent and you're constructive and you marry a black person or someone in the black community and you promote black betterment, I can assure you no one is going to say anything of a negative nature to you, and you're always welcome. However,
Well, Raven, let me try and jump in there just for a second. As you say that, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you have a good grasp and
Yeah.
an understanding of the different classifications vis-a-vis the Portuguese with their mulatto classifications and all the rest of it. It was them indeed that started that those classifications, and you're right, it still exists today. Um, Although I don't think it's marrying. I think it's bearing a child. If you bear a child that's of some sort of white extraction, then you're upwardly mobile in society. In Australia, I think it was named the Black Peril, where instead of because of the slavery laws, they weren't allowed to keep slaves and all the rest of it.
Right.
What they wanted to do is commit a genocide via
Yeah.
breeding them as much as they can until
Of course.
they
Now,
no
now,
longer
now,
existed.
now Brother Bing, now you're saying this. You can understand that now we're aware of a plot to destroy black people.
Yes,
The
but
people who
let me
have
just
always-
finish this, Raven. Just 1 second. Sorry, bear with me.
Go
Indulge me
ahead,
for one
go ahead.
second.
Go ahead,
Um,
finish it.
As I was saying, I'm glad you understand the dynamics. However, I would put forward this. I don't think everyone within the community stands in the same position you do in regards to people of mixed heritage. So, people of mixed heritage, some people would define them as mixed heritage, not black. And
Okay.
that distinction uh, is problematic because, well, problematic for the person of mixed heritage because, in some regards, some people are accepting of us as black and some people are not. We're mixed. So you can understand when there's a little bit of an issue there. But let me
Well,
just mute up and let you continue.
well, let me jump in for that. Here's what it is. There are people who think that people come from Mars. They think that you shouldn't eat for a year. There's so many philosophies out there, but all we can do is get like-minded people together. In the Black Betterment community, people with one black parent are welcome to be constructive and aid and work with black people uh, and do every single activity that a black person does, and whether they call themselves black or the issue is we might call you black, but then there might be a mixed black person or a Byron who goes, please don't call me that. I'm part of the black community, but I want to be known as, and they give you their new. I spoke to some guy the other day who called himself Golden. So I'm like, okay, cool, Golden, that's fine, cool, yeah. So everyone has a philosophy, but what we tend to not do, is get around the name calling, because what we realize is the name calling circle is like a time wasting mechanism where black people sit in a circle, go, we're black, we're this, we're black, we're African, you're not black, he's not black, she's not black, they're not black, and we're saying, okay, we've got multiple names we can call ourselves, but we're of the same lineage, and we're going to work together to actually try it better. There's a person called Fee Holy Trinity who would like to join. Would someone like to drop off so she can join? I'm saying to Sheba, I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's my. I'll jump.
No,
Okay.
let me jump. Let me jump.
I'll jump off now.
Let brother Kel jump for now, and then then he can jump back. Stay there because brother bring some interesting questions.
Thank you, brother Cal. Stay by though.
There you go. So welcome, sister. Is it Sister Fee? I could be wrong.
Welcome, Sister Fee. Holy Trinity.
Hi panel. Hi. Hi Rep Raven. I just had another different perspective, and I've been commenting in the chat, so I guess you'll probably know what it is. I mean, just coming from a different viewpoint, really, is that Tina Turner, I think I said she was married for 19 years, but she was married to Ike for 16 years. And watching different documentaries about her, she did actually date within her race prior to him as well. And she left her boyfriend to marry him, whatever. So 16 years. And then I believe his partner who he was with before Tina dropped off his two children. And then Tina, I believe, adopted his children as well. So I'm just wondering, in that circumstance, being going through everything that she went through, being a divorcee with kids, I think we all know in this platform it's quite difficult to find a black male partner when you're single to marry you, let alone being a divorcee with kids. My question is, does she get any grace for having been in a long-term marriage for 16 years, going through everything that she'd gone through? And would she have been seen as a prize to for another suitor or a black male partner? And that's my question. And does she get any grace for the fact that she was actually in a marriage? She didn't just, divert straight to, which is what a lot of brothers do, is that they divert straight to, they have an incident in school with another child, because people in school are children, and they say, well, this other child in school rejected me, so in my adulthood I'm now not going to date. Or some of them simply say to me, when I've had conversations with them, is that they've never been attracted to black women at all in their entire lives. This is because they've been brought up in the Western society, or whatever the case may be. So does Tina get any grace for those years that she's put in?
Sister,
yeah.
Respectfully, we will never step on any panel and disrespect a person who's done so much for music, so much for the world. It's not just Tina; it's many people in a position. But for this case, Tina, and Tina isn't the first person to marry other things. We always try to say that there is no real, at least from me, there is no real malice towards anyone, whoever they marry. But there is a consistent template that we push out. So regardless of how good or bad the relationship might have been, we always say that the template is constructive black man, constructive black woman. To answer your second question, I do think someone like Tina Turner would have been beloved by a constructive black man. I think she was a wonderful looking woman, very talented, and she shows her, her ability to adopt other people's kids, help raise them, as well as have a very successful career and teach so many people so much stuff. I think she would be beloved. And I'm sure there's hundreds of black men who will jump over walls to marry her. But saying that, let's go back to your first question. Hopefully nothing we say here is of a demeaning nature towards Sister Tina Turner. She is a living legend. Well, she is a legend now, sorry, I should say. But I don't think there needs to be any grace given, because I personally don't look at black people like that. But to show my consistency to black betterment, I believe in the template. And the template is constructive black man, a constructive black woman, make a constructive black family. And that won't change.
If I could just add a couple of things here in regards to Tina. Now, when I first heard about her marrying this individual, straight away I was jumping to the conclusions of gold digger. I mean, he's much younger than Tina was. And in my head, I'm thinking gold digger, here we go. Like, but if you hear from her own mouth the things that guy done for her, I don't know if you guys are aware, he actually gave her one of his kidneys. She was gonna die, and he gave her one of his kidneys. And to me, that's that's kind
So,
of deep
brother,
still.
brother Buddha Bing, I'm going to say what we say week to week. Even if you found the greatest white man of all time, who was a manifestation of white Jesus, and he came down, and then on the other half is a homeless, alcoholic black man, right? I would still promote black love. I would say you definitely do not marry the homeless, alcoholic black man. What I would say is I would like to think that everyone who gets married has a case to do good and loving things. However, it doesn't change the template. We're not talking about the actual individual marriage of Tina Turner. It's more so of the collective data. And when we look at the collective data, we realize so many celebrities, say from the 80s, who sold a lot of records, end up marrying European people who are probably younger than them, who end up inheriting their wealth, right? So what we're saying is, as a black community, it's more strategy rather than stress. So it's like, what is it that we can do to heighten the reality or the actuality of constructive black man marrying constructive black woman? So the goodness that these people could do is fine, and thank you for being nice to a black sister. However, it can never change the fact that here at the Black Bear broadcast, we understand there is a bigger issue, and it's how do we thrive as a community, and how we thrive communities by promoting very crucial things. One is black love, another is black economics, another is black ownership. These three things, if it was part of the lifestyle of black people, would push us forward. You see, let me give you one other story.
I agree. No, I
Yeah,
actually 100% agree. I
thank you.
mean,
And
the
that's
only
the thing.
thing is, it's a case of. I mean, I think I was having this conversation with, I think it was Christy, maybe yesterday or the day before, and it was about Mike Tyson. And
Right,
would Mike Tyson be Mike Tyson without Customato? And
right. So
it's the part white people play in black lives
I'm
that
glad you said that.
I
I
was
remember you
questioning.
saying, I actually heard you. I now can put a voice to the voice because I've heard that on some replaying of some show. I remember. So the thing is, yeah, you black people are collectively inadequate, right? And the reason we're collecting that because we've been made that way. So let me give you a perfect example. Let's pretend there was a time where black people, black men and black and white men were equal in all things. Let's just make up this scenario, right? What's happened is there's a situation where white men have gone to black lands, right, and taken black men when let's say we were equal, and they've put them in a dark box, and they put them in a dark box for say 400 years, where they had to learn in a dark box. But while they're in a dark box, every single wealth and economics and piece of knowledge has been extracted from the black community and put into the white community. Now, 600 years or 700 years of doing this, you've built up a mentality where the point now is when you let black people have that box, you have a comfortability that the Europeans or the white people can go through, and you have an uncertainty and anxiety that the black people go through. In that scenario, if you were to take the average white person, put them in front of a woman, to take an average black person, put in front of a woman, they might go, "Whoa, I want to go with this white guy because he got 600 years of education, he's got 600 years of inheritance." Well, this black man is he's all over the shop. He's like he can't see anything. He's like he's lived in the darkness for 200 years, 600 years. Well, that's what's happened, isn't it? Now, I recognize that that might not be as appealing, but there is a reason why that is, right? Now, you have to understand, I've said something that no one really answers, and that is this. Why is it that the Palestinian isn't rushing to marry the Jewish person? Why is it that the Jewish person isn't rushing to marry the Nazi person? I'm mentioning two people groups at a certain time in history, right? These are actual two people groups that had conflict, and one of them was terribly mistreated, right? They don't tend to run towards the people who are part of it. Why is it that black men at great haste and speed run towards the daughters of the men who collectively oppressed, colonized, and beat them down? Why is that? Now, I'm not saying that these men or women are wicked people. I'm saying that before you even try to marry out and love the product of the people who undermined you, shouldn't it be more constructive to fix your own community, considering that the people who undermined you, when they were breaking down colonization and enslavement, they thought it was more necessary to pay the people who raped and enslaved you rather than the people who raped and enslaved. You see, so this is the mindset. Now, one other thing I want to show as well, when it comes to black people being beat up, let's look at America for a good example, but it's all over the world. You see many black men who are beaten down, and when they get to the courts, one of the first thing they say is you should forgive, and then we see a culture of forgiveness, meaning I saw what's her name? His name, her name, I'm not too sure because things are going on nowadays where people are transitioning allegedly. But George Floyd's alleged sister brother, I'm not too sure it was, so forgive me if I get the gender wrong. But this individual was on TV saying, I forgive the man who murdered my brother for 15 minutes on the TV. But what's interesting is the man who murdered him has never said sorry. Can you see that dynamic? Can you see what I'm saying is that's just a small microcosm of what black people are, where it's like it's a complete subservient, beat down group of where things we think are good are not good. So we need to have templates in the darkness, isn't it? So regardless of how, even though a white man will fly through the window with his arms open, but there's a halo above his head, and everything he does looks good. However, we must have a template, and the template is constructive black man with constructive black woman creates a constructive black family.
No,
You see?
I hear you. I mean, to be honest with you, Rap Raven, there's a number of things you brought up in what you've just said, and forgiveness is something that I'm trying to work on. Like it's easier for me to kill than to forgive. It's one of those. It's always been like that throughout my life, and I'm trying to get to the stage where I'm able to forgive people for things. But that's a different conversation. But I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. It's just that there's so many little dynamics in society, especially in these days we live in, that kind of put question marks over certain things. But if instead of complicating the matter by asking certain questions, go by your three dynamics. I hear that and I accept that, but still those question marks prevail, and that's
Bro,
if I'm having those.
Can you see the screen at the moment, bro? Can you see the screen at the moment?
Hold on, give me 1 second.
You might be using a phone, yeah. So at the screen at the moment, we've got three starting statements, right? The highlighted white ones are the most important ones, right? And this is why it's very important. It's understanding that, but I understand that black people are collectively inadequate, right? Meaning we are not good as working as a team for our own best interest. We're not good at that. But also understand that.
Sorry, can I question that for 1 second?
Please do.
When you're saying we're inadequate, are we inadequate collectively within the European states, or are we also inadequate within the African states?
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Across the world, across the board, white supremacy and European domination was a very powerful, very well strategized thing that not even was successful, is successful, right? And the byproduct of that is collective inadequacies, meaning you see, you will never get one thing. I will say a speech, right, and I'll say three things: black love, black economics, black ownership. Before I can even get to black economics and ownership, we will have a whole lot of people jumping over walls to confront me on this black love stuff, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like other people groups, they've got Chinatown, they've got Jewish Town, they've got all this. They don't need, they understand how things work. We're still, and when it comes down to the black men jumping over walls, what they want to fight and arm wrestle with is the right to marry white. You see, so that shows us that the white man, his marketing is very good to the point where he can punch you in the face and then you'll say, "Is your hands okay, sir?" This has been proven. But the reason why our second quotation is collectively black people have no friends is because when we recognize that we're collectively inadequate, the first thing we do is, well, let's just jump and be subservient to people who are actually adequate, right? Let us just befriend them, because when we befriend them, they're going to befriend us back. No, sir. We have no friends. So what will happen is we will build up their economics and then be a subservient class forevermore. And which is, we have culturalized the concept of being a subservient class. It's so ingrained in our everyday that we don't know we're doing it. But then we end the three starting statements with the most important statement. It's the immortal statement. And that's constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. If ever you wanted to practice black betterment, brother, if you have these three things stuck in your back of your mind, you will never fall off your path. Never. You will always, what will happen, you walk in a room, and in that room will be 100 non-black people, and they'll kiss your feet, they'll kiss your face, they'll call you beautiful, they'll give you vegan burgers or whatever to your heart desire, right? But even when you leave that room, you won't give them all your economics. You won't marry into them. Collectively, black people have no friends. So even though I might be kissed by all these people and kiss my feet and this kind of stuff, I understand that collectively they're not going to do that for all of us. And my responsibility is to fix my community before I fix others. You see, because I don't longer want to be collectively inadequate. So hopefully I can be a prototype to influence others, so we can be constructive on a collective level to further our people group.
Yeah, that. I mean, it sounds good on paper, Rap Raven. It sounds good the way you're presenting it, but in practice, let me give you an example. So, me and my family own a number of properties, and we rent these properties out. And I don't want to say like this is the truth for everyone, but what I found in my experience, when we rent to black people, I find that the men, because obviously we only take people that are working and got references and working. The male black man, no issues. Rents on time, goes to work in time, place is kept good. Any kind of issues with the properties on the phone, listen, we need to get this resolved. Brilliant, no problem. With the female black ladies,
okay,
I tend to find a few issues. Now, I don't know if that's just coincidence or I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. But again, they're successful. They're professional people working in good industries, estate agent, whatever. But for some reason, I don't know what it is.
Well, let me jump in, brother. So if that is true, I don't know if it's true because you're giving me we share things as a case study. Now, if that is true, if you were practicing black betterment, part of what you would want to do is you want to get to the heart of it. You would want to try to potentially ask questions to the land that the people who rent in your places and trying to find out what is happening where month to month you're not paying on time. You're trying to get a consensus. You're trying to see, is it connected to historical trauma, racism? Is it connected to being inadequate, which I'm sure it is at some point, right? And then what you will do is you will try to work with other brothers or sisters to deliver a solution for that. Now, I'm not saying that in that time you should be losing on your own. You can make more executive decisions to hire certain types of black women who have proven, and you can make it very, very stern that, if you're not on time, these are the things that are going to happen. However, being a part of a black betterment community where you're trying to have solutions is when we recognize there's a shortcoming, get to the heart of it and fix it. Because ultimately, we don't want black women to not have places to stay. And if it is true, which I don't know if it is true, we want to contribute to the betterment of that environment rather than just labeling it and moving on, if it is true.
Is he saying that they're doing that because he's a black man and they don't have any sort of respect? I mean, I hear that in these spaces quite a lot, that the black woman doesn't respect the black man, and if he were another type of man, they'd pay the rent on time. Is that where he's going with that?
No, that's not my. Well, I hope that's not what's been thought of, because again, like I'm saying, I have no issues with the professional black man. The issues that I'm having with the ladies, they're not really big issues, but like if the washing machine busts, they don't bother telling us. We can't fix it, we can't address it with the heat, and if there's a problem with the shower, where it just seems to be haphazard, quite haphazard. I don't know if it. Do you know what? I think it could be an age thing, because these ladies seem to be like quite young, with like in their mid-20s, going on 30s, but. I don't know what but like when we're talking about the economics, what you just mentioned, like I'm saying, on paper, it sounds beautiful. And in practice, it's doable, but it's not as easy as it sounds on the paper.
Just so you know, just to be clear, helping black people was one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. What we're saying here is, we look back at history and we always say, why did they not do this? Why did they not do that? Were these people all wicked and evil? We're saying today you can be on the good side of history, right? But it comes with a cost, and that cost is effort. And that's one of the hardest things anyone can do. We have been defeated 4 times over. So in order to get us up to scratch, much work has to be done. We're literally like we're Leighton Orient competing in the Premier League. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't know if anyone knows football, right? It's hard, right? But we can either jump ship and jump onto the other side, allegedly, and be that happy one person who's in another community, or we can be a part of the change you want to see. So we can try to do it in a situation that we go through a hardship that our future kin don't have to go through. You see, and that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, as a community, many of our ancestors drop the ball. There are some amazing ancestors who put the work in, but at a certain kind of generation, certain people took the easy road, and optically they created a scenario where not doing black betterment is a good idea, allegedly, right? So we're saying that we want to work with constructive brothers and sisters to do that. Now, brother, if you're going through this doesn't have to be something you do alone. We could take this as a case study and try to actually get to the bottom of it, where we collate other people's experience with black women, and then we can see is there consistent is there a pattern here? And if there's a pattern, well, let's try to discuss it. Or what might happen is you might be the only one, and other landlords say, you know what, all the black women we work with are really good. We can give you some recommendations of how to find these women a website that's you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel that might be one of the issues as well. But look, do you know what? I'm persuaded by the experiences of my mother. When she first came to this country in the 50s, in the late 50s, she faced problems. You know, no black, no Irish, no dogs. That's a real thing. People think it's a joke or it's made up. It was a real thing. My mom and my dad both had to endure that. And the only places that would rent to them were Jewish people. In fact, the guy that rented a room to my mum before she met my dad was also her employer. So she worked for the guy inside a factory, and she also paid rent to the same guy that owned the property. So I make it a point to at least have 3 people within our properties of color. I make that point because I understand the problems my mum had when she first came in.
You don't have to answer this question because you identified as I think you said mixed or biracial kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, am I suspecting that maybe one of your parents is Irish by the statement you gave?
No.
Okay,
My family are from a place called Mauritius, and I am of Creole descent.
Right. Okay, so you're saying you have an admixture family, meaning not one of your family members could be identified as white. Is what you're saying?
Exactly that. So both my parents were mixed to begin with, anyway.
So when you say Mauritius, is that the one where they have the 5 stars on the flag, the 5 color stars?
No. So Mauritius is near Madagascar, Seychelles, that kind of region, but very close to Africa.
Yeah, it's in the Indian Sea, right?
Indian Ocean, yeah, that's correct.
Indian Ocean, yeah. No, yeah. I'm right. It's got the 5. Your original flag was 5 stars of red, yellow, to represent.
Oh, you mean stripes, not stars? Stripes.
Maybe it's changed. Maybe I'm just I could be wrong.
It's stripes. Yeah, you're right. It's 5 stripes, but not stars.
So you're saying you have African identifiable African ancestry? What you're saying, right?
Yeah,
and because
my
of
ancestors were slaves, literally cutting sugar cane.
Right. So what you're saying is because of that, you wish to network with, and by all means you can. I mean, having identifiable African ancestry could put you in any black betterment work, and most people won't say anything, right? Especially if they uphold the black betterment principles. But then it does come with a consistency that we're trying to help black people as a collective, right?
You know what, Raven? I'm just about to leave. Before I do that, I found a new website where I can upload photographs to the website, and then that turns it into a link so you can view the photograph. I'm going to upload a photograph of my good self, and people can draw their own conclusions as to what they think I am. But what I'll do is I'll make space on the panel and I'll leave. And it's been really good and really constructive speaking to you guys. Big up everyone. Take it easy.
You have a good time, brother Bing. Fee Holly, did you ask the questions that you wanted to say? Was all your questions answered, by the way?
Yeah, I think for the most part. And I just wanted to say that I do agree on the philosophy that you have here, and I realised what type of space I'm in. I was just saying in Backs that I do kind of have I do think we have a long way to go, because I do think that the scale's sort of unevenly tipped, as in that I think more so black women sort of pushing that, and it's going to be a bit of a difficult fight if it's only just this belief is just one-sided. But yeah, that's all I wanted to really make the statement about Tina and women like her who've actually given it a good go. And I respect people that give Black Love a good go. And she's, in my opinion, gave it a good go. It didn't work out. She found herself divorced with, was it 4 children or 5 children? And the kind of, unfortunately, the culture that we are in, that doesn't fare well for the black community. You've got lots of famous black women, lots of actresses, singers who were single into their 50s, never been married, never had children, and I'm seeing it more and more happening, more common within amongst normal people within societies, normal black women as well, who are of a certain age and unmarried and single. So I think it's a very difficult marketplace for us, and I think you have a big fate on your hands trying to influence people. But yeah, I do agree with the premise of the platform anyway. That's all I wanted to say, but thank you.
Fee, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Thank you. So when you were saying that about that, from when you look around, you see plenty of available black women who are good women, and you said that that's just not on the cards for them. It's not. Would you say that that's because they choose not to go there? Is it because they choose not to go for black men?
Yeah. I mean, to be brutally honest, I think that I kind of agree with the 80-20 rule. I think that there's a whole load of women who are being. At first, I didn't agree with it, and this is the sense that there's 20% of 80% of women going towards 20% of the men within our culture. And I kind of do agree with that now. I think it must be true because everyone seems to be having the same experiences. And to be fair, you only need a few men to continue on a race, don't you? You don't need loads and loads. I think that the black men that are quote unquote good are going to kind of, the higher up in the echelons of society they go, they're going to kind of divest anyway. So then there's only going to be a few who people kind of go towards. So I don't know, we're in a bit of a catch-22. I don't know how we can change that, really. That's my opinion.
Sister, you said something about, so the philosophy, this comes from more so the manosphere red pill kind
yeah.
of and what it is, they're saying that because of the hypergamous nature of women picking husbands and spouses, that it creates kind of bottleneck where 20% of the men are seen, are wanted, while 8% are unseen. And we try to interview those 8%. It's very important to hear their philosophies, and then through that 8%, you might get some wild radical men who feel because they have women, they create philosophies. Some call them incels, some call going their own way, this kind of thing, whatever, right? But so is the idea is okay, if all the women are going for 20%, could there be a value in going for the unseen 80%? And I think that's what it's like. Could there be a value in, rather than every woman going for the best 20? And they say the best 20 is made up of certain characteristics. So he might be 6 foot something, he might have 6 figures, he might be handsome, this kind of thing, or whatever it might be, right? All these kind of things that women want in higher amounts. Could you go for a lesser of the 8% who might just be rich and might just be good at work, but he doesn't have some other things other than? I think that's where that comes from. Am I correct in that, sister?
Yes, that's the premise of it. But I kind of think that even the percentage that are, I don't know, quote unquote high value and have really good jobs and opportunities, I kind of think that they wouldn't be looking to date in anyway. And this is from both personal experiences and experiences with other people that are kind of on par with people that also these are women who also are educated, have good jobs. So normally what happens in communities is that people who are of the same kind of levels, class kind of get together, but that doesn't happen in the black community. They kind of tend to go sort of outwards. So I would argue that even within the 20% that have the good job, they're not staying either. So even if you wanted to go for someone that had a good job, they wouldn't be available to you. You wouldn't be their choice. So you'd have to kind of navigate that as well. So I kind of do agree with you, because there's no way that everyone is having the experiences, the high levels of single motherhood, lots of people unmarried. There's no way that people are going for a diverse amount of people. Everyone must be picking the same person. There's no other way I can explain it. So that's why I kind of agree with the 80-20 thing.
Well, there are some breakdowns in some communities where one man might have a multitude of children, meaning he might have five or six different women, and while you have some other men who don't have any. Right?
Right.
I know. I was reading through Robin. I think it's Robin Walker. He did a class with him, and he said his theory was the reason why Mali and certain places broke down is because what tended to happen was, so there was a wealth of a small wealth of men with wealth, a small number of men with wealth, and in those communities, because they were wealthy, they could have more than one wife. And what tended in those communities, what happened was these wealthy men literally had all the wives of the women, and there was a whole lot of men who didn't have any wives, and that made them less likely to actually fight and defend the community because they never had a family. This is what something he told me. I remember. So, I do understand that these things can happen where a small percentage can get the most. Um, but I mean, that's probably a topic for another day, maybe. We have tried to tackle some red pill scenarios, and we did actually invite some. In I think, is it black incels, or did they call it black incels? Maybe there's some new work for black incels. I'm not too sure, but it was very hard to control them. They had a lot of tremendous hatred towards black women specifically. I'm not saying that all people in the manosphere are incels, not at all. I'm just saying the ones that we dealt with. Um, One particular. And he's always welcome back if he can follow the code of conduct, but so far he didn't.
Can I just say something to that point as well, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you. It's very interesting because obviously I don't follow that side. So I didn't know that actually came from the manosphere, the whole 20 and 80 aspect. When the sister was talking, it did kind of make sense. And then when you clarified the breakdown, I think I agreed with it up to a point where I felt like it was very disingenuous. So I agreed with the 2080 aspect but of course, I'm sure the figures can be a bit more, whatever, moved a bit. But I didn't agree with the aspect that the 80%, the 20% are these 6 foot and all of that rhetoric. I think that's all all of that is just dumb rhetoric. I think the 20% in my head is probably the synchronized, how I see it. I'm not seeing it through the Western white man's lens of 6 foot and all of this kinds of superficial rubbish. Black women are really not worried about that, clearly. But I do think that the 20% in regards to the synchronization and the 80% unsynchronized. And if that's the case, I think that this is why it's disingenuous. So the push to push women to then go to the 80% is now pushing women to compromise. Because we're fully aware that 80% is not synchronized. You start off saying that collectively we are not synchronized. So this is why I think that I really wanted Fee to come in and speak, because she has, I feel, an understanding, a more in-depth understanding from the Black woman's side. What I understand and feel and know, Fee is more, I feel like for me, she's around spaces where Black women have realized these things that we all know, but we've not put words to, and have come up with our ways of articulating it and putting things in a way that brings like, yeah, that's exactly it. So that's why I like to, and that's why I don't want to feel like I pressure you, sis B, all the time, but I do feel that you should have a space in here to talk the truth. And I think it does get tricky, because if we're now saying that black women should go to the 80%, we're now saying that black women should lower their standards or do the good fight for the cause. And I think that's when I'm realizing the break kind of thing. Even when you said, Raven, that, instead of the individual going to the other side and her life being good, black people have to start taking the hit. But if we actually look at the statistics, it's not black people that will be taking the hit. It's the black women going for 80% of the unsynchronized.
Well, that's a very interesting perspective, and
and it's not a perspective. I'm just saying that this I'm letting like, and where fees coming from, and kind of what most women as a woman is like kind of saying, like that kind of, because I'm saying that we can have the kind of conversation, but that's the kind of elephant in the room kind of thing. I don't know, Fiona, if you want to
just unpack it.
Polish it for me, or if I've missed anything out there.
So what was said, just so we can get clarity, was there was a philosophy of that came that 80% of women, the majority of women are going for 20% of the men. And when we looked at what the rhetoric of those men were, it was wealthy men, as in men who have lots of money, as well as men who were like tall and men who are handsome, and the kind of like desired phenotype, or not phenotype, desired tropes, I should say, sorry, right? But then Sister Empress Kush said, when you turn that into a black perspective of black women, how she sees it is that 20% is the synchronized black men, meaning constructive black men who can actually, push the community forward, while the 8% are not just like unseen because they don't make up that kind of trope, but actually they're unworthy. They're not in a state yet to be worthy of anything constructive, so they're ignored. And that's what Sister Empress, I believe, has been saying, but I could be wrong.
I've never looked at it from that perspective, and thanks, sis, for bringing it up. I think you're right. I don't think it's so much about six figures, 6 foot tall, and all of this kind of thing. I just think it's the ones that are still, have some attraction or want to have relations with a black. And to be honest, the 80% are aware that it only takes a few men within our community to keep the community going. So they have they don't feel any allegiance to stay. They know that one person can have 6 baby mothers. So in a sense, they feel that, if I'm not here, then what's the difference, kind of thing, because of the culture that we've kind of created. But I do agree. I don't necessarily think it's the best of the 20% that we're necessarily getting, and I think the 80% are on the fence, and I think if they could date outwards, they would, but for whatever reason, maybe the same reasons that they are not attracting women inside, the women that they want anyway, which I don't believe are black women. I think they are kind of unambiguous women, are the ones that they refer to, or sort of biracial looking phenotype. I think that those are the kinds of black women that they are referencing, and not necessarily the collective. If you consider biracial women to be black, that is. But yeah, I would say that the 80% are on the fence.
Because we had a brother who jumped in. He jumped in and said he identifies as some kind of biracial, but he's from a land where everyone is mixed with this kind of stuff, right? And he has African ancestry. And one thing, this is remember, every single solution is problematic. So we have to really, because of the history, we're saying here that one black parent can practice black betterment. We also say black love is important, and we want as many black men to marry black women. It becomes problematic if there's a black man, especially a dark-skinned black man, and all he wants to do. There was a guy who was on some show, some like 90s show, and he got married to a biracial, one black parent person with him, and they found some 10-year tweet. He's a dark-skinned Nigerian guy, and he said, I will never be with a woman my complexion I don't want to have dark kids, something of this nature, something that we've heard before. In that circumstance, this is problematic because this means that he's turning this entire dynamic to a weapon, and he's creating division, and he's also showing high levels of self-hate, which no doubt he's learned. So so what we don't want to do is have an inclusion of obviously everyone of African descent, but then there's a bottleneck where everyone is flocking towards one parent, Irish, whatever, because of self-hate. The idea is for everyone to be thriving and together, and everyone's an option, and everyone gets a say, and there is no self-hate that's going to minimize. Because what I do know is when you become Pan-Africanized or Black Britanized, you start looking at black from a black male perspective. You will start just say you look at black women as 80% beautiful. When you become Pan-Africanized or Black Betterment led, it adds on like 60%. You understand? Which you think, how can you do that? Because there should only be 20% more, right? So when you do that, you start looking at all the dynamics, all the melanin, all the different phenotypes as beautiful, and you start realizing that black women come in many different shapes and sizes, and they're all beautiful, and you have a choice of what it is. But if you then limit that choice, it's problematic. And what you're describing is the limit of choice amongst the collective group. You see, and that is definitely problematic. But we can talk about that. So these are one of those kind of challenging. When you try to community building, it comes with so much back history and so much challenging that you've got to appease one section and still appease another section. 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, we were dealing with a scenario where there's a lady who I think she has one Asian parent, one black parent, and she's made some kind of YouTube video saying, "Oh, when black people promote black love or some form, it offends her," and she's very prominent in being on black shows and talking from the black perspective. Although a lot of her opinions seem to be not necessarily synchronized with any kind of black Betterment at all, but I could have just missed the ones where it was. But yeah, this is once again problematic. And what we don't do, we don't want to cause kind of like in division fighting. And one other thing I was saying, this happens at Speakers Corner a lot. You might get two ethnic groups there, one from say Jamaica, one from say Barbados, or whatever, you name it, right? And then they end up making fun of each other, but then it's not each other they're making fun of. They're making fun of the nations or the ethnic groups or whatever. And then what happens is, even though you're trying to make fun of that one individual, you end up making fun of an entire nation. And this is problematic. This is very problematic stuff. So, it's how do we resolve this stuff without offending or mistreating masses of people? The Manosphere rhetoric is one we should look at from where it comes from as a perspective is narrow. That's a message.
Can I say something, Brother Raven?
Oh, certainly can.
Okay. I wanted to say that it's really important that when we think about like the 80% that feels like they're being overlooked, and the 80% is still very aware that um they're the minority, that there's more women than men, and therefore, at least as of lately, they conduct themselves as such. And in the past, men would feel a duty to earn being with a woman. Um, those, I think, that table has turned, and they kind of regard it like, I'm the one with the penis, I'm the one with the power, and you're lucky for me to be with you because I could just be with another woman. So it's as far as like what Christy was talking about with standards and so forth, for a woman to actually have standards and like, well, yeah, I'm not really pressed, for the P. I'm not really pressed. I don't want you for your money. Like, I want to be treated a certain way, and that person has standards. Then those are the women that get criticized, like, oh, you chasing Mr. Perfect, and you didn't want me when I had my braces and my retainer, and I wore suspenders, and those are the ones that get upset. You see what I'm saying? But it's really more so like the 80% don't be really coming and offering what used to be standard, what used to be like the bare minimum. That's not being done now.
Well, family, Yes, thanks for the perspective there. We've gone for 3 hours, which is an hour more than we should, and we're gonna have to wrap up. And we could definitely, I don't know, before you got guys, before we the homework. I'm sorry that we never got.
Sorry, I just posted the link because I thought.
Yeah, of course, she can jump in if she wants to jump in. If she got something to say, she can wrap up and help us with the last few minutes or whatever. But just some homework stuff. We never got time to go over the ownership ideas and the economic side. I know brother Kel had something which we'll get him on next time as well, maybe. But we did actually get more of a conclusion on the Black Love thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mock up maybe 20, 15 of these. We're going to look at them next week. And what your homework is we want a minimum of 4 maybe hashtags. So far we've got Black Love is and maybe Black Love exists. But if you can think of any hashtags to correlate with the Black Love is, that's your homework next week. So what's going to happen is next week, we're going to finalize the hashtags and we're going to have 10, maybe 15 images. And then the following day, we're going to bombard, we're going to post it. Everything's everything. Let me know if you want your camera on. It's on at the moment, brother, and I think you wanted to speak. So I don't know if you wanted to turn your camera off. If you did, I can turn it off, but your camera's on. Just should I add you to the stream with your camera on? Are you okay with that? Okay.
You can type in a message to let him know.
He might not be able to hear me. Hold on. Private. Everything. He might not be able to see it anyway. Because should I turn his camera? Can I do it for him? No, I can't. Well, I'm assuming there's one because I've never seen him.
Messaged him in the back chat. EIE, looking at you're good, yeah? So you're right for it to show. He said he's good.
Oh, cool. I did. Just making sure. Welcome, brother. Everything is everything.
Bless up, EIE.
Black Betterment.
Well, go on.
Peace,
Well, go on.
Good to see you.
I mean, I have nothing important to say. I'm just a show off.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm being petty. I'm in the Caribbean, just chilling.
Oh no! Look at the pool.
But I'm listening. I'm listening attentively. I'm listening attentively. Don't miss the palm tree, and don't miss the big house and the second house.
Here we go. This Pan Africanism right here. Multiple landmasses right here.
I want to push through.
I'm just listening attentively.
Beautiful.
Thank you for showing us.
Y'all want to say something?
Yeah.
Y'all know what this is? I want this a hang pantry.
Wait, put it on the big screen.
Mango.
We can't see.
Oh my gosh, mangoes. Oh,
see, mango hang pantry.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah, man. But then I go back to listening still, but I don't know things still. I don't want to be disrespectful, but now listen, man.
Thank you for showing mangoes.
One of the only places where me, one of the only places where me come and find refuge, you know. One of the places where me find refuge and can listen and actually learn something. So please continue.
We appreciate your spirit here, Iaye.
Thank you, brother. So before we go, sister.
Yes, sir, man. Rap Raven, a big man things. Sister Mel, brother Keel, all on them, man.
Big up yourself. Big up yourself, brother.
All right, sir. I go back in the.
There you go.
Okay.
Enjoy Jamaica.
There you go.
I love that one that she put.
So we've got one hashtag here. Black Love reigns supreme. What are you guys feeling that is that? Shall we put that as the list? Black Love reigns supreme.
Definitely.
Right. Okay, Black Love.
All right, yeah.
So I assume, sister, that's one you just made up now, meaning we're looking for that right now. We're looking for that one to be a fresh one. And when people click on, they're going to get all our stuff because it's not connected to any other campaign. Other homework you guys want to do is look on other people's who practice Black Love hashtag so we can tap into them. So when people click on the hashtag, they'll see this. I've written this down: Black Love reigns supreme. Yeah, I've written that. Make capital there so you can see. Right down. Black love reigns supreme. Right. Any of us else know we're gonna end the show now. Because in 3 hours, I think we get limited time. Family we can use it. So 3 hours, and I'm sure you guys have to go to bed. So any last things we'll cover the black ownership and black economics next week. And I know Brother Kel wanted to do something, so we never got time to do that. And we might continue some of the stories, whatever. But black love over everything. Let me write it down. Black love. Hold on. Black love over everything. Well, that was a capital, was it? Black love over everything. Everything. There we go. Everything. Make that a capital. Oh, so we got black love reigns supreme, black love everything. Any others before? Black love or die. Interesting one. There has to be one word on that one. So yeah.
Black love or die. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Black love is healing. Write it down. Hold on. Black love is healing. What we can do is obviously we can get like maybe 10 of them. I can put them on a sheet and then we can vote because I think you have to have 4 or something. I don't know how much I have to healing. So hopefully, guys, what we're doing is community building here, where we work to community to find ideas. There's another one. Black love is black power. Is there any way we can connect economics to that? Like black love is black economics. I don't know. Just something to think about. Hold on. Black love is black power. Black love is black power. Black love or die. Write this down. Black love is healing.
Black love is currency.
Black
love is wealth.
Is write it down. Wealth. Black love is currency. Any more before we go, family? We got okay. We're checking out his currency.
Black love is black power.
That's a good one. Black love is black power.
Black love is healing.
Have we got that one?
Okay, those last two are from Sis Sankova.
Yep, yeah, we got that.
Check.
Any guys, feel free if you haven't type it in. We write down anything and we do a
get Black Love Explosion. Did you get that one? So
Black Love
Explosion. That was melanated.
Thank you. Explosion. Black Love Explosion. Excellent. We got one. So we got black love reigns supreme. Black love over everything. Black love is healing. Black love is black power. Black love will die. Black love is wealth. Black love is currency. Black love is black power, and black love explosion. There you go. So well done, family. It takes a lot to come together to try to find solutions. It isn't easy, but we're doing it, and hopefully we're showing ideas as progression week to week. Next week we'll continue with what we've done on the Age of Aquarius. What's that again, Stanley? Is that Black Love? Is that just doing your own thing? Just let me know. So next week we're gonna have more images, and we're gonna maybe have a voting system of the 4 that we pick. And so tell your family and friends to come in to vote, because the vote you do here will matter. The choices you make here matter, and then we shall make sure. So if you can, I'm gonna post this in there. If you haven't already followed the Instagram, please do. I'm gonna post it now. Please click on it as you can and post that black on black love.
Oh, I like that one. That one's catchy. That one is a good one. That one replaces the other one. Black love is science. Come on.
Okay, what's down? Black love is science. Oh.
Nah, Black Love is Science is wicked, boy. That one is. I like that.
Yeah, you've been hanging around me too long. Wicked, yeah?
Yeah, wicked. Hey, me.
Thanks, okay, cool. Okay, okay, good. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna write these down. Any more, let me know. Feel free to come in next week if you come. It's never too late.
Yeah, or just write them down in your notes if it just happens to come to you, and then just drop them down for next week, right?
Yeah. Well, you could have a drop down next week, or go in the comments and post it there. That'll make it easy because then I can design up into something we can see. It's never too late until it's too late, of course. But yeah, until then, family. Any last words from Empress Cushion and Midnight Goddess?
No, just just want to say it was great sharing the panel. Bless up everyone who jumped in and everybody on the panel and everybody in the chats, and bless up to you as well, Raven.
Midnight Goddess, any last words, sister?
She just dropped off.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, big up her, big up her. And to everyone, Black Betterment, and I'll check you next week where we'll be doing the voting and viewing stage. Remember, if you're not there, you will miss it. So until then, Black Betterment, goodbye.